who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should.
Stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin. mymagicmud.com.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
You're 6 minutes away from a live episode of Free Talk Live, brought to you by freekeen.com. Listen live at freetalklive.com.
Temporarily from Omaha, Nebraska, the gateway to the West, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for the weekend of May 26th through 28th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.51 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,302 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $37, and the average price of Bitcoin is $7,429. Antiwar.com reports the U.S. Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction, SIGAR, issued a new report on Thursday. The report concluded that the 15-year, $5 billion Afghan stabilization program has been a failure. SIGAR concluded that the U.S. had unrealistic expectations for the timeline of stabilizing Afghanistan and that many of the programs they attempted actually backfired. The report said that the problem was that they focused on the most dangerous districts in Afghanistan first, where the poor security made it virtually impossible to follow through on building projects. When the U.S. withdrew from those areas, the programs ended outright. Other programs, which were meant to increase Afghan government control, backfired even worse. In giving the corrupt Afghan government control over more districts, they exposed those areas to much greater corruption.
For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals. Gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. They don't feed the banks. They're Bitcoin preferred and have removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
UPI reports the former commanding officer of the USS John McCain pled guilty on Friday to dereliction of duty for a crash in 2017 that killed 10 soldiers. Under the plea deal, Navy Commander Alfredo Sanchez was issued a punitive letter of reprimand and was ordered to forfeit $6,000 in wages. Sanchez also agreed to submit a letter of resignation. The USS John McCain collided with an oil tanker, the Alnick MC, on August 20th, 2017 after making a sudden turn in the Singapore Strait. The turn caused the U.S. Navy warship to head into the path of the tanker. The Transportation Safety Investigation Bureau of Singapore said in a report in March that when the oil tanker crew saw the U.S. warship turning, they presumed the vessel could safely pass ahead.
Are you looking for a cryptocurrency that has a focus on users and usability? Then look into Zencash. Zencash has the ability to use both transparent and shielded transactions, with shielded transactions using zero-knowledge proofs. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at Zencash.com. That's Zencash.com.
Reuters reports a jury in South Carolina on Friday could not agree on a verdict in a case of a woman whose family said her long-term use of Johnson & Johnson's baby powder led to her death from asbestos-related cancer, which resulted in a mistrial. The case of Bertilla Boyd Bosket, who died of a rare form of cancer in 2017 at the age of 30, is the latest in a series of trials in the United States that center around allegations that the company's talc-based powder contained asbestos. The company said in a statement, "We're disappointed that the jury did not reach a unanimous verdict for Johnson & Johnson," adding the talc in Johnson's baby powder does not contain asbestos, which is supported by more than 50 years of independent, non-litigation-driven scientific evaluations. Asbestos is a known carcinogen linked to mesothelioma, the type of cancer Boyd Bostic had been diagnosed with at the age of 29. After 2 weeks of trial, the jury in Darlington County Court of Common Pleas in South Carolina said it could not decide whether Johnson & Johnson was responsible for the disease. Under South Carolina state law, a jury has to make a unanimous decision. The case also named as a defendant the U.S. unit of talc supplier Imeris, as well as the local unit of the Rite Aid, one of the largest drugstore chains, which allegedly sold the baby powder used by the woman. Johnson & Johnson is battling some 9,000 cases claiming its talc products caused ovarian cancer, but litigants have recently focused on claims based on alleged asbestos contamination. A California jury on Thursday awarded $25.7 million in damages to a woman and her husband over allegations that the company's baby powder had caused her mesothelioma. A New Jersey jury in April ordered Johnson & Johnson and Imeris Talc America to pay $117 million to a man who alleged he developed mesothelioma due to asbestos exposure from talc-based products. The company won the only other asbestos-related trial in November when a Los Angeles Superior Court jury ruled in their favor. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
The push to legalize marijuana is gaining momentum. These prescription doobies will do a whole lot more than just give patients a case of the munchies. Proponents are piping up to say that medical marijuana can help patients with some of the chronic illnesses that have been majorly killing their buzz. Unfortunately, 36 U.S. states are still not a kind bud of the legalization argument. But in states that do have the plan, the results have been, well, pretty far out, man. Patients nationwide are bluntly asking state legislatures to finally mellow out so that they and their doctors can work jointly to stop the suffering that's making a hash of their lives.
So it's clearly an issue that means a lot to these patients.
So states shouldn't toke their time with this policy. We'd be upset if patients had to wait a long time.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, and that's right, we are live here on Memorial Day 2018. You can, of course, take control of the airwaves as you wish. You can bring up anything that's on your mind. Our toll-free number for you is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733, or you may Skype into the show at Skype username LRN.FM. Plus, we've got our Discord on-air call-in line room where you can jump in and you'll sound almost like you're sitting here in the studio with us. Just go to discord.lrn.fm. Joining you here tonight, it's Ian,
Melanie,
and Mark.
And of course, you can talk about anything, but we've got stuff that we bring to the table, as always. Starting tonight, we're going to talk about communism. And specifically, coming up, the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto. Mark, this is something that you've been wanting to revisit for a while now, and there happens to be something in the news about it today, or an opinion piece.
News, it's a blog post.
A blog post, something that caught your attention about this. Years ago, we had talked about it. This was probably back in Florida, maybe.
I think so.
The last time we did this, so more than a decade ago. When we kind of went through the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto and looked at the United States and determined how many of them were implemented here. And I believe that at the time we determined it was like 8.5.
That's what I'd say so too.
And now this person is going to argue that it's actually all 10 of them, so we'll get into that. And of course, it's been more than a decade, so maybe they're right. I don't remember the planks. I'm state control of whatever I'm sure is in there, but they get more specific, so we'll get into that. But first, a little bit of news about one of the communist nations of the world. The AP reporting out of Havana, Cuba, that they're looking to redo the Constitution in Cuba. Does that mean that communism has failed? Because, I mean, shouldn't it have been like a people's paradise and they shouldn't need to redo the Constitution if the whole thing was a good idea?
It's iffy, right? But at the same time, shouldn't a Constitution be redone on a regular basis in order to make sure that people have the optimum protection from the encroachments of the state?
Well, I don't think that's necessarily what the Cuban Constitution's designed to do.
I suspect not.
Yeah, there are other reasons you can say Cuba failed that are kind of more concrete. The fact that they're rewriting a document doesn't even necessarily mean, if you're rewriting a document, that there's something wrong with the document.
I think it does.
Constitutions have been amended all the time because the courts went, and I don't know how Cuba works, but the courts, just for example, the courts went and interpreted something away, and the legislator was like, no, we mean it for real.
This way. Okay.
So we're going to amend the Constitution. That doesn't mean there was anything wrong with the Constitution. That means there was something wrong with, in this case,
the interpretation,
the court system. But that could also happen with, anyone else's interpretation or language evolving or any other. I'm not going to hold that against them per se.
So in this case, they're not necessarily acknowledging the failure of communism, but they are going to acknowledge that their system maybe has changed over the years. And according to the story here, when they adopted their current constitution in Cuba, the sugar-based economy was being bolstered by aid from the Soviet Union. Citizens were forbidden to run private businesses or sell their homes, and gays kept their sexual identity a tightly guarded secret.
But they did, yeah.
Now a rewrite is on the way as the country's communist leaders try to adapt to the post-Soviet world in which hundreds of thousands of Cubans work for themselves now. American remittances and tourism keep the economy afloat, and the daughter of the Communist Party chief Raul Castro is campaigning for gay rights. The country's parliament is scheduled on Saturday to name the commission to draft a new constitution, consulting with the citizenry and eventually bringing it to a referendum. Officials have made clear that the Constitution will maintain a Communist Party-led system in which freedom of speech, the press, and other rights are limited by, quote, the purposes of socialist society, unquote. Meaning that you don't have free speech in Cuba.
Well, that's kind of what's happened in China, right? So they basically have a
where there's more freedom to conduct business?
Yeah, much more so. They basically have a much more capitalist system, but no social freedoms.
And the Communist Party is still firmly entrenched in that place. So, no, you don't get freedom of speech, freedom of the press, because as long as the government determines that whatever it is you're saying is a threat to socialism, you're forbidden to say that, apparently. But Castro and other leaders, so-called leaders, apparently hope to end the contradictions between the new, more open economy and a legal system that calls for tight state control over all aspects, of the economy and society. The current ban on dual citizenship collides with the government's effort to reach out to exiles. For instance, the definition of marriage as between a man and a woman runs up against Cuba's growing gay rights movement. Many small businesses employ workers, even though the Constitution currently forbids, quote, obtaining income that comes from exploiting the work of others, unquote. The current Constitution allows
others would like their work exploited if they can't get jobs from the government, central commie whatever.
The current and the reason why people are able to do these private things in Cuba now is because central control doesn't work. And at some point, somebody had to acknowledge that. And I don't know if it was Raul Castro, because I remember years ago when he took over for Fidel, he started putting reforms into place that, if I recall, we were reporting on some of it here on Free Talk Live, and some of those reforms included the ability to, decide what to plant on your own farmland, which of course wasn't really your own farmland.
It's crazy talk.
It was the government's farmland, but they slowly kind of moved in that direction of individuals having more of an ability to make a decision. The current constitution allows worker cooperatives, but only in the farm sector, and officials have allowed other types of cooperatives, but placed sharp limits on their growth and operations, keeping them as a marginal economic player. The government, too, is likely to see changes. Castro, who turned over the presidency last month to Miguel Diaz-Canel...
No, that's not Fidel Castro. That's the other.
That's Raul. Fidel's dead.
Yeah. Oh, is he?
That's correct.
Well, God bless him.
Yeah, he passed away a couple years ago.
Good.
Has proposed limiting presidents to 2 5-year terms and imposing an age limit, a dramatic shift following a nearly 60-year run of leadership by Castro and his late brother Fidel, who both ruled into their 80s. Quote, Cuba needs to change its constitution because our society has been radically transformed in recent years, said political scientist Lenier Gonzalez, one of the directors of Cuba Possible, a think tank aimed at promoting reform with the limits laid out by Cuban law and its single-party system. He noted the society has become more international, forms of property ownership have diversified, and new social movements have emerged that now exist on the margins of the law. He also said the revamp could help build the legitimacy of Diaz-Canel, who's 58, and other members of the New Guard, who are finally replacing the men enshrined as national heroes of the 1959 revolution led by Fidel Castro. The Communist Party state newspaper, Granma, has reported to...
Grandma?
That's what it is.
Okay.
Granma has reported that the new constitution could boost the role of the country's parliament, which now usually meets for 2 days a year to listen to speeches and approve official proposals. It says
great job.
If only we had that, right? If only Congress met for 2 days a year.
Yeah, but in this case, it's basically the dictator hands down the rules,
Right.
and they just listen and say, that is a great idea. That, too, is a great idea.
right.
That also great. Man, you're just chock full of great ideas today.
It said the Congress might be professionalized and its membership trimmed. The 605 deputies now receive no pay other than what they get from their other jobs. Parliamentarian Mariela Castro, the daughter of Raul and director of the Center of Sexual Education, has said the reform will expand gay rights, partly by tackling the current wording of the Constitution that limits marriage to a man and a woman. The current Constitution was adopted 4 decades ago at a time when Cuba was a potential Cold War flashpoint and a pillar of the Soviet bloc. The document proclaims Cuba's adherence to Marxist-Leninist socialism and to solidarity with countries of the Third World, particularly Latin America. The Communist Party is described as the, quote, superior guiding force of Cuba's society, and it says the economic system is, quote, based on socialist property of the entire people over the fundamental means of production and on the suppression of exploitation of man by man.
Well, there you go. Sounds great.
The toll-free, well, that's the current one.
Yeah, well, it's still that too sounds great. They don't follow these things.
The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. It's totally okay when it's the government exploiting man, but man exploiting man is what they're against. 855-450-FREE. You can dial in here. You can bring up what you want.
The government's not some entity that's not man, though.
That's what they want you to believe, though. They really do believe the state is something else. It's something greater than men. It's Free Talk Live.
What is it costing you in vet bills for that convenience of just pulling open a bag of
formulated, extruded, processed cereal bits that cost a ton of money anyways?
How do you feed your dog to derive not only energy, but a good coat, bright eyes, and a great attitude?
Come to Dynovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
I found his raw meat diet on Dynovite.com. With just the raw meat and the eggs and the Dynovite and the Super Omega on top of it.
Try Super Omega Fish Oil.
Buy 2, get 1 free.
Ground beef, white rice, eggs, including the shells, and the Dynovite supplement, and then the Lico Chops.
Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free.
It just balances out his body and his mind and his spirit.
Adding Dynovite to their diet has every single dog in my kennel looking better than they have ever looked.
Their skin is so much better now that they're on the raw diet. I don't even give them the kibble anymore.
DINOVITE.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Good technology is good, but the philosophy behind the tech is important. And Zencash was made by voluntarists with the ideas of voluntary interaction being embedded into the white paper. With no central authority or single point of failure, Zencash is more resilient than a traditional corporation. Everyone has an equal opportunity to participate in decision-making, which empowers stakeholders and makes Zencash less susceptible to third-party influence. And Zencash allows for secure private transactions. Learn more at zencash.com. Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveatpurse.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want. We are here on this live Memorial Day edition of the program. Open phones as always at 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. And want to make sure you know about the Blink home security system. Mark, you have one of these in your house.
Yep, but it's great.
And it is super easy to set this thing up. Even you were able to do it in a relatively short amount of time. What,
pretty quick.
Less than a half hour?
Less than that.
Yeah. So you open the boxes, you pop the batteries in the cameras. It comes with them. And then you just put the cameras wherever you want, set them all up with your Wi-Fi enabled device, like your smartphone or your tablet. And then once you're set the cameras up as far as when you want them to operate, maybe you only want them at night, maybe you want them 24/7, whatever. When they spot something moving in front of them, they will send you a clip right to your device. Wherever it is you are, you'll know what's going on in your home. And I would say it's also good for a small office. Go check out blinkprotect.com/FTL and you'll get 15% off the already shockingly affordable price for this system. It's the Blink home security system at blinkprotect.com/FTL to get the discount of 15% off. It's Ian, Melanie, and Mark in the studio here tonight. We're talking about communism. We're going to get into the 10 planks coming up here of the Communist Manifesto. But Cuba is looking at updating their constitution, and to me, this is to some extent an acknowledgement that communism doesn't work. They're not going to say that when they update their constitution, but ultimately the idea that complete state control over property, or as they describe it here, this is a quote from the AP story, quote, based on, this is the Communist Party and Cuba Society, it says their economic system is, quote, based on socialist property of the entire people. So suggesting that everyone owns all of the property.
Yeah.
Through the government.
Try to act like that's the case, though.
Well, right, because ownership means control, right? And so if you try to control a piece of this property, the government, in a way the government disagrees with, they're going to tell you it's not really yours after all. In fact, come with us, you're going to put you in a jail cell just to prove to you.
Traditionally, the people that are in charge of the governments tend to have a bit more of this property that belongs to everybody than anyone else.
They sure do. Just look at Kim Jong-un over in North Korea and how well-fed he is.
He's fat and everybody else is starving, right?
Same thing with Nicolas Maduro down in Venezuela. Very, very well-fed. Many others losing weight year after year in recent years because they just can't eat. So again, here's the rest of the statement about its economic system. It's, quote, based on socialist property of the entire people over the fundamental means of production and on the suppression of the exploitation of man by man. Now, who could be against suppressing exploitation? I mean, that's something that I think most people are in favor of. Nobody wants to see a person exploited by another person.
Except that it doesn't mean anything, and I tend to be against things that don't mean anything.
Yeah, exploitation is a word that I watch out for immediately. I mean, we're not talking about, making an 8-year-old work in the sex trade here. We're talking about, essentially somebody making a profit off of someone else's labor is the idea. Giving somebody a job is called exploitation.
Well, right. It depends who you ask. Right. I mean,
yeah, but when you say exploitation, what I think of is a job. I don't think of anything else.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
it's the only person who uses it.
Yeah, I guess I see what you're saying there, but I guess I would think of something more extreme like forced labor or something like that. To me, that's exploitation of another human being, whereas a job is a voluntary consensual
and that's
interaction.
Probably more accurate to the dictionary definition, but that's not how it ever gets used. Like, you don't hear that word to explain prison labor or slavery, where they still have it in the private sector.
No, I guess you're right, actually, Melanie. The dictionary definition is use or utilization, especially for profit. So just using something, using somebody's expertise, using somebody's strength, using somebody's abilities is supposedly exploitation.
Yep.
To me, it just has a negative context, but that's just because I guess that's how it's used. The toll-free number here, if you want to join us, is 855-450, free like freedom. But to me, exploitation is what the government does. They exploit people by forcing them to pay into their system, whether they agree with it or not. A little bit more here from the story in the AP. Antonio Fernandez Estrada, law professor at the University of Havana, says about the Constitution, again, they're updating it, that's the plan in Cuba. It's a historic Constitution, the only one that remains in our hemisphere. He says it's more than 40 years old. It continues speaking of things that do not now exist in the world, such as the formation of the citizen for communism. And I think when he says it's the only one that exists in their hemisphere, he means the only communist constitution.
They're pretty good friends with Venezuela.
He said the economic reforms promoted by Castro, that is to say Raul Castro, the one that's still alive, which sought to allow the limited introduction of private enterprise within the communist system, quote, have been carried out, if not against, then in large part in spite of the Constitution. Which is what I was pointing out before, was as soon as Raul Castro came into power in Cuba, we started to hear about some of the changes, and I'm sure we only heard a fraction of it, right? Like, we only get whatever it is the news media reports on.
Right, and not all of that.
And the ones that we see, so we don't know all of the changes that have been made over there, but we do know that toward the end of the Barack Obama administration, they did loosen up on some of the restrictions as far as United States citizens, so-called citizens, traveling over to Cuba, and that's a good thing, because the more people from the United States can interact with people from Cuba, the more ideas can be exchanged, the more business can get done.
And the more they're going to want a better life.
Yeah, and the more their life will be improved by that. So I think that, things are moving in the right direction. It's obviously not going to be a, huge increase in quality of life for them unless they actually have a huge increase in freedom. And again, the Communist Party isn't going to be letting go of the reins there anytime soon. But regardless, to me, this is at some level an acknowledgement that, whatever attempt at pure communism they had or socialism has failed. Raul Castro acknowledged that to some extent by allowing private industry to exist in Cuba, by decentralizing to some extent the control over industry. And so now this, the changes to the Constitution are following that. So it's, again, another evidence that the politicians will change their position based on what happens in society. They aren't leaders.
They find a parade and get out in front of it.
Right. As much as the press calls them leaders and acknowledges them as leaders, they really aren't at all leaders. They follow whatever it is that the people want. And it takes them forever to do it, but eventually they do finally come around. Like in the United States, marijuana is an example of that. It's taken decades, but finally you've got people switching sides. Now you've got Republicans and Democrats who were drug war hawks for the longest time, coming out and doing things like joining the boards of directors of marijuana businesses, for instance. And I forget the guy's name.
Well, that doesn't mean they believe in marijuana now. That just means that they're opportunistic, evil people.
Yeah.
No, I understand that. But it's an example of the fact that these aren't leaders. They're following along now. Oh, now they can jump on the bandwagon. Now they feel like it's politically safe to make money off of cannabis, and so their rhetoric has completely changed as far as how they talk about these things. And if they've learned something, and if they actually have changed their minds, then that's great. That's nice that people can change, even these, politicians who for a long time spoke out against these things. The toll-free number here is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Coming up, we'll get into the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto and see how many are in effect today in the United States. We're coming up here, and you can share your thoughts. It's Free Talk Live.
Healthcare reform is confusing. With the loss of the Obamacare mandate, those needing help can now choose an affordable alternative. By joining Liberty HealthShare, you're part of a community of health-conscious Americans all over the country who control their own healthcare costs and choices. Liberty HealthShare is not insurance. It is an association of self-pay patients who unite with like-minded people to share the cost of their medical needs. Neighbor helping neighbor. Learn more now by going to libertyoncall.org. That's libertyoncall.org.
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Berkey purified water. The Berkey Guy provides the lowest priced filtration systems in every size. For incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency, get to goberkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. goberkey.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealestate.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can take control of the airwaves here. Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. The Skype username is lrn.fm. We are down to two. That is to say, two talk show hosts in what is a Free Talk Live first here, I think, in more than a decade, 14, 15 years of being on the air. I don't think we've ever had a host actually, take a nap during the show.
Well, there was that one time TJ walked off onto the porch.
TJ walked off. I don't know if I remember
he was on
that.
the show, and then because Daryl was on the air talking about how I wasn't really an anarchist, and I know that because TJ was on the show and then wandered off onto the porch where I was and told me to go listen to the show because you were talking about me.
Okay, but he didn't go on the porch to take a nap.
No.
So that's what I'm saying. It's the first time in the history of the show where somebody has been so sleepy that they could not stay on the air. So Mark has gone in for a power nap, and we don't know when he's going to come back, but hopefully he'll be feeling a little bit better when he does. It's Ian and Melanie here, and Melanie, you do taxes. You do accounting work, bookkeeping for people. That's your profession. That's what you spend all your full time doing. You used to work for somebody else, but now you're working for yourself, and you work for a bunch of other people who are your clients who hire you to do stuff.
Yeah, so most people don't have taxes right now, although the quarterly is coming up on the 15th, because the IRS defines quarters a little bit differently than you and I would. But
now hold on. You do state taxes in a lot of the states, with the exception of a handful, right?
I'm working on California, and there's 2 other weird states I can't do. I don't remember them.
But you do 47 out of the 50. Now, do they all have the same deadlines? Is it all April 15th, or do they have different ones?
For states, it's all the same.
Okay.
They might have different things where they push back for natural disasters or something like that, or push back or not push back for holidays, but it's all the same.
Yeah, I see. I've never lived in a state that has income tax, so I don't know anything about it. But you know a lot about taxes. You are the kind of person who actually seems to enjoy reading tax law, and that's one of the ways that you are able to help your clients maximize what it is that they get to keep out of the hands of the government, not only because it's in your client's best interest and so therefore in your best interest, but also because you are motivated because you hate the state. So you've got that extra motivation.
Yeah, I'd rather not give the state money, so
even if it's other people's money.
Yeah. I don't want the state to have money. Just even if I can't have it, you can't have it either.
Right.
But,
and you can help maximize the people's take home, what they hold on to by going, or you help them doing that. They can get in touch with you by going to tax.freetalklive.com. That is a website that will forward you directly to Melanie's site. That's tax.freetalklive.com. But you're doing a lot of bookkeeping throughout the rest of the year until you start doing more preparations for the end of the year.
So bookkeeping, we have monthly plans starting at $100 a month, depending on
That's cheap.
the size of your business.
I mean, I've never hired a bookkeeper, but that sounds very affordable to me.
Yeah, it's less than what a CPA would charge.
I bet it is.
Which is basically, tax prep for the next year. That way you have your stuff all together. You have some planning stuff you could have done, a lot of stuff. It's too late after December 31st.
So head over to tax.freetalklive.com and get Melanie on board. We're going to hold off on doing the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto until we get Mark back because he was the one who really was hot on talking about that. So I'd feel bad if we jumped into it, Melanie. So we're going to hold that. In the meantime, there are other stories to discuss, including another potential ban on plastic straws. We just covered this story, 3 days ago, 2 days ago, maybe here on Free Talk Live, when New York City and some of the city council there or aldermen or whatever they call themselves, they are proposing a ban on plastic straws. And now apparently it's also a proposal in the European Union. The Associated Press reporting that the EU has proposed banning plastic products, not just straws, but also cotton buds. I guess it's a term for like a Q-tip. So, plastic stick with a cotton on the end of it. Straws, stirs, and balloon sticks when alternatives, they say, are easily available in an attempt to reduce litter, spoiling beaches and ocean beds.
I want to know two things. What's the alternative to a Q-tip, and who is littering with Q-tips?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I can't imagine many people are going to the beach with a pack of Q-tips.
That doesn't make any sense.
But I guess the idea is that some countries or whatever dump their garbage into the ocean, and so this stuff ends up
nobody
getting
lives
caught.
in the ocean, so I kind of don't care.
Well, things live in the ocean, right? So there are living animals and mammals and things like that.
There's not any sapient creatures as far as I know. Yes, living
Define
in the
that.
ocean. Sapient is what most people mean when they say sentient.
Define that.
Basically having like subjective experience, some self-awareness.
Dolphins live in the ocean. Dolphins are absolutely self-aware.
I don't think that they are.
They are absolutely self-aware. There have been tests showing that dolphins recognize themselves in a mirror. First of all, that's the main test to see if a thing is self-aware. You can have somewhat of a level of conversation with a dolphin. I actually have a story about dolphins right here, as a matter of fact. I didn't know you were going to go there, but I've got a story about dolphins. There was a really interesting television special called Dolphin Eye on the Pod that I found because they show a scene where dolphins get high together off of a pufferfish, where like young teenage dolphins are passing around a pufferfish from mouth to mouth, as though, you know, young people in America would pass, or young people in general would pass around a joint. It was the very same sort of behavior. Dolphins will actually teach down through generations. Dolphins have very individual kind of they actually are one of the few species that gets pleasure from having sex. I mean, so there's a lot of similarities between humans and dolphins. So you're just wrong about, in my opinion, you're wrong about that one. But let me tell you a little bit more about dolphins here in a moment. I'll come back to that story, but because they've actually been doing some studies on dolphin happiness. And if we had the ability to better communicate with dolphins, I think we would find that they are very interesting creatures. But going on here with the proposed ban. So they claim that they're trying to reduce litter spoiling beaches and ocean beds. The European Commission said its proposal would seek to cut marine litter in half for the 10 most prominent items and avoid environmental damage estimated at over $250 billion over the next dozen years. EU Vice President Frans Timmermans said that utensils would not be banned completely, but steps would be taken to have them made out of sustainable materials when possible. He said you can still organize a picnic, drink a cocktail, and clean your ears just like before. He also made new proposals to ensure that it is the polluter that pays. The proposal will be assessed by the EU Parliament and member states, but Timmermans hopes to see results before May of 2019. So if the issue is that there are people dumping garbage in the ocean, and that would seem to be a problem. I mean, that's where the garbage comes from. This isn't just from people chucking, you know, a Q-tip or a plastic fork or a straw into the ocean at the beach. This is like mass scale kind of pollution of the ocean. Then it would seem that property rights should come into play.
They would if people were able to homestead part of the sea in peace instead of being conquered by the EU and other states.
Right. So because we don't have the ability to own plots of ocean, then there's not really anyone who is, you know, responsible for that.
Well, yes, I have no reason why I should protect land or property on the behalf of the EU or any other states. If I can't own it and nobody else can own it either, I really just have no incentive to protect it. Indeed. Or care about what happens to it.
Well, some people still care, but they can't do much about it. Like, there's a lot of people who care about the oceans out there, but all they can really do is beg politicians to pass some stupid law like this as though it's actually going to have an effect on things.
Well, there are some people who do pirating themselves without begging the state to do it for them. But, I mean, yeah, the only option is to force someone to do what you want, and I don't even... know why you would care yourself, because no one can use it, so it doesn't matter what state it's in. But
there's more on the way here tonight. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Another plastic straw ban proposed for the entire EU. More coming up.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite.
Everything we tried failed except the Dynavite.
Pick up 2 bottles of Super Mega Fish Oil.
Get the 3rd bottle free. Packed with omega-3, DHA, and EPA fatty acids.
Super Mega is great for your dog's immune system, healthy skin, and soft, shiny fur.
Dogs love it. Try Super Omega Fish Oil.
Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynavite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Cryptocurrencies are successful because of good technology. The liberty-loving voluntarists who founded Zencash in 2017 took the best tech, like zero-knowledge anonymity and decentralized autonomous organizations, and are creating a secure platform for money, messages, and media that can be sent to anyone, anywhere in the world. Zencash is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. Find out more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
I tried other brands, but I came back to my Sunshine.
For the best hot or cold pain relief, get the best. Get a Sunny Bay heating pad.
Sometimes life can be a pain in the neck, or back, or shoulder.
And the best relief for that pain is a Sunny Bay heating pad. Did you know that the American College of Physicians said that one of the best ways to treat muscle pain is heat therapy? Sunny Bay heating pads are handmade with high quality, can be used at home or at work, and have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy.
Why take another pill?
Many people use our Sunny Bay heating pads alone and got rid of the neck pain.
Long-distance travel or long hours in front of a computer can take its toll on your body.
Our homegrown small business tries to help people just like us. That's why we design and test our handmade products with great care before we introduce them to the public. You can easily find Sunny Bay heating pads on Amazon. Just go to Amazon.com and search for Sunny Bay heating pads.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial on in here toll free if you want to join us on this live Memorial Day edition of the program. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Melanie.
You can bring up whatever you want. We've been talking about another proposed plastic straw ban, but not just plastic straws, other things involving plastic. According to the AP report out of Europe, the EU planning to ban cotton buds, straws, stirs, balloon sticks, and I imagine other plastic items. I don't know if it's going to be across the board that they're going to just ban all plastic, or if they're going to only ban specific items. They say here that there's a top 10 most polluting item when it comes to the oceans, and that is ostensibly what this is being targeted at. European Parliament says plastics production is now 20 times higher than it was in the 1960s. And European Green Party lawmaker Monica Frassoni also welcomed the initiative, added that, quote, the scale of the problem means we cannot rely on individual European countries to take action and must instead find a Europe-wide response. Lasse Gustafsson, the European executive director of the environmental group Oceania, lauded the initiative, saying, quote, the only way to stop plastics pouring into our oceans is to turn off the flow at its source, production. So that is something they're talking about doing, and given that it's Europe, maybe they'll actually be successful at it. But as we were discussing here, the problem is, from our perspective, that nobody can really own the ocean, or at least there aren't any legal systems in the world that allow for that. In theory, someone could homestead the ocean.
So someone can homestead a plot of the ocean. Most people don't, because the government's going to violently attack them.
Correct.
So it is effectively unhomesteadable, not from a philosophical point of view, but from a pragmatics point of view. So as it is unowned and effectively unownable, I don't care what happens to it. Almost as kind of a defense mechanism. I'm not going to let them... I almost want to say I'm not going to let them make me care, because if they want me to care, they have to open it up to homesteading. I probably would not ever homestead a plot of the ocean, but you know what's a biodegradable alternative to most plastic products?
What?
Hemp.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing. Hemp is truly an amazing product. So they were talking about making biodegradable forks or whatever instead of plastic forks. And, you know, if that's something that the market is demanding, then that's great. But forcing it down companies and people's throats, of course, as a libertarian, I'm against that. Although I'm not as cold, as you. It seems like you really just don't care whatsoever about, any animal life at all.
Well, if something can't have subjective experiences, then if it doesn't care, I don't see why I should care for it.
Well, okay, so you and your fiance do have a dog, right?
The dog came with the human, yes.
So you don't have a dog. It was his dog?
I have a stuffed dog,
is what you're saying? And so you don't believe the dog has a subjective experience?
I don't, and neither does he.
Okay.
But he thinks that she has self-awareness, but not... and so that makes no sense to me. I don't know how you have self-awareness without
but not subjectivity?
Yeah, so I don't know how that's supposed to work. I think that's more of a bias on his part than anything.
Can the dog feel pain?
So animals can feel pain.
Yeah.
I would argue that they can't experience pain, and those are two different things.
What does that mean?
So if you, step on a dog...
Yeah.
There's a feedback
yelp.
system that's going to make it react a certain way. So that's a reaction to a stimuli.
Yeah.
If you step on a person, they have processing power that they will actually experience that subjectively. So so if you stab a plant, it's going to react.
Uh-huh.
That doesn't mean a plant can experience pain.
Well, okay, so there's a whole other argument about what plants can and can't experience.
Well, they don't have central nervous systems, so they cannot experience anything.
There have been some more recent studies that suggest that plants actually have apparently some sort of bizarre networking effect and ability to communicate. And I haven't actually looked closely into it, but it sounded very, very interesting. But let's keep it in the realm of the mammal for the purpose of this discussion, rather than moving it from dogs to plants.
Can't, because you need to illustrate that there's definitely a spectrum there. Just because something is reacting to a stimuli does not mean that it's having a subjective experience.
Okay, but an animal like a dog is DNA-wise, genetically, 96%, I believe, of what a human is. So
I don't know, but that doesn't really matter.
Basically the same thing. They
we
look
also
different.
Share
they
a
walk
high
on all fours.
90s DNA with crawfish. That doesn't mean that crawfish are sapients.
So subjective meaning that the dog is having an individual experience?
Yeah, so the difference between a subjective and an objective experience, if I drop a VHS on the floor, it's going to break. So objectively, it is experiencing breaking, but it doesn't care because it can't, because it has no brain. If I
The dog does have a brain, though.
Right.
And the dog does have the ability to sense in different ways. The dog has the ability to feel pain. So why would you come to the conclusion that the dog's experience of pain is somehow less than your experience of pain? Why is it if you experience pain, it's better or worse or whatever it is that you're saying about it?
Well, first of all, humans are definitely smarter than dogs.
Not like a baby human.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I bet my dog is smarter than a baby.
Okay, so maybe there's even some overlap on the margins. So, maybe the most stupid person is not as smart as the smartest dog, but as a species, there's more processing power there, which means that there's more that can be processed.
Hold that thought. We can continue. You can share your thoughts here as we go to Vernon. He's in New Orleans. Vernon, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Melanie.
I learned that plants can feel because I watched Fern Gully one day, and that movie taught me everything I ever needed to know about the environment.
Did it?
And oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. And that if you cut down a tree, this evil smoke thing will come out and take over the whole forest.
Yeah, well, you know what? When a tree talks to me and has conversations like the trees in Fern Gully, then I'll reevaluate how I value trees.
I think Batty would take offense to that. And by the way, Batty was played by Robin Williams, which was awesome. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, I'm totally kidding. But I don't know if plants can feel or not. But I don't know. I feel like we should just respect the earth versus, I don't know. I guess just like, is there an afterlife or any of these rhetorical questions that we can't really answer? Maybe it's better to assume it is and to respect it versus, not. I don't know.
Well, here's a headline from the BBC. Plants can see, hear, and smell and respond. Plants
can respond to stimuli. I'm not denying that.
Plants, according to Jack C. Schultz, are just very slow animals. They say here this is not a misunderstanding of basic biology. Schultz is a professor at the Division of Plant Sciences at the University of Missouri in Columbia and has spent 4 decades investigating the interactions between plants and insects.
So then he should have some scholarly articles on this, right? Since he spent 4 decades on it?
Presumably so, yeah. He knows his stuff. Instead, he's making a point about common perceptions of our leafy cousins, which he feels are too often dismissed as part of furniture. Plants fight for territory, seek out food, evade predators, and trap prey. They are as alive as any animal, and like animals, they exhibit behavior. Oliver Hamont, plant scientist in France, says to see this, you just need to make a fast movie of a growing plant, then it will behave like an animal. Indeed, a time-lapse camera reveals the alien world of plant behavior in all its glory, as anyone who has seen the famous woodland sequence from David Attenborough's Life series can attest. These plants are moving with purpose, which means they must be aware of what's going on around them. Quote, to respond correctly, plants also need sophisticated sensing devices.
That doesn't really follow, though. So a computer is also going to respond. That doesn't mean it's aware of what's going on.
Not yet.
But right now, this computer is going to respond, but it is not sentient or sapient or anything else.
Not yet. Go ahead, Vernon.
As far as animals, I know that cats are definitely aware of everything because we had a cat that we lost that ran off for 6 or 7 months, came back, and he was just entirely different because of the experiences he had. He was very very careful around us, and he wasn't as friendly as he used to be. And then it's taken almost a year for him to identify his home again and to become friendly with us again, and just those type of things, and to know what door to come in and everything. I think that's proof in itself, at least with a cat, that they're aware and everything.
Oh, I think they absolutely are aware. I mean, anybody that's actually had an experience with an animal for a period of time like that certainly knows it. I think humans have a tendency to underestimate animals and believe that they are somehow inferior to us. And I think there's a lot that we don't know. Thanks for the call, Vernon. I appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. I did mention I had a story about dolphins here tonight, so we can come back into that. You can also bring up what you want. Still to come, if Mark returns from his nap at some point, we've got the Communist Manifesto on the way.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $9.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Temporarily from Omaha, Nebraska, the gateway to the West, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for the weekend of May 26th through 28th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.51 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,302 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $37, and the average price of Bitcoin is $7,429. Antiwar.com reports the U.S. Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction, SIGAR, issued a new report on Thursday. The report concluded that the 15-year, $5 billion Afghan stabilization program has been a failure. SIGAR concluded that the U.S. had unrealistic expectations for the timeline of stabilizing Afghanistan and that many of the programs they attempted actually backfired. The report said that the problem was that they focused on the most dangerous districts in Afghanistan first, where the poor security made it virtually impossible to follow through on building projects. When the U.S. withdrew from those areas, the programs ended outright. Other programs, which were meant to increase Afghan government control, backfired even worse. In giving the corrupt Afghan government control over more districts, they exposed those areas to much greater corruption.
For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals. Gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. They don't feed the banks. They're Bitcoin preferred and have removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
UPI reports the former commanding officer of the USS John McCain pled guilty on Friday to dereliction of duty for a crash in 2017 that killed 10 soldiers. Under the plea deal, Navy Commander Alfredo Sanchez was issued a punitive letter of reprimand and was ordered to forfeit $6,000 in wages. Sanchez also agreed to submit a letter of resignation. The USS John McCain collided with an oil tanker, the Alnic MC, on August 20th, 2017 after making a sudden turn in the Singapore Strait. The turn caused the U.S. Navy warship to head into the path of the tanker. The Transportation Safety Investigation Bureau of Singapore said in a report in March that when the oil tanker crew saw the U.S. warship turning, they presumed the vessel could safely pass ahead.
Are you looking for a cryptocurrency that has a focus on users and usability? Then look into Zencash. Zencash has the ability to use both transparent and shielded transactions, with shielded transactions using zero-knowledge proofs. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
Reuters reports a jury in South Carolina on Friday could not agree on a verdict in a case of a woman whose family said her long-term use of Johnson & Johnson's baby powder led to her death from asbestos-related cancer, which resulted in a mistrial. The case of Bertila Boyd Bosket, who died of a rare form of cancer in 2017 at the age of 30, is the latest in a series of trials in the United States that center around allegations that the company's talc-based powder contained asbestos. The company said in a statement, "We're disappointed that the jury did not reach a unanimous verdict for Johnson & Johnson," adding the talc in Johnson's baby powder does not contain asbestos, which is supported by more than 50 years of independent, non-litigation-driven scientific evaluations. Asbestos is a known carcinogen linked to mesothelioma, the type of cancer Boyd Bostic had been diagnosed with at the age of 29. After 2 weeks of trial, the jury in Darlington County Court of Common Pleas in South Carolina said it could not decide whether Johnson & Johnson was responsible for the disease. Under South Carolina state law, a jury has to make a unanimous decision. The case also named as a defendant the U.S. unit of talc supplier Imeris, as well as the local unit of the Rite Aid, one of the largest drugstore chains, which allegedly sold the baby powder used by the woman. Johnson & Johnson is battling some 9,000 cases claiming its talc products caused ovarian cancer, but litigants have recently focused on claims based on alleged asbestos contamination. The California jury on Thursday awarded $25.7 million in damages to a woman and her husband over allegations that the company's baby powder had caused her mesothelioma. A New Jersey jury in April ordered Johnson & Johnson and Imeris Talc America to pay $117 million to a man who alleged he developed mesothelioma due to asbestos exposure from talc-based products. The company won the only other asbestos-related trial in November when a Los Angeles Superior Court jury ruled in their favor. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
According to a groundbreaking new study published Thursday in the New England Journal of Medicine, psychologists have discovered that the average person, while ostensibly appearing to be normal and mentally sound in their day-to-day lives, immediately becomes a deranged psychotic when alone at home.
We observed hundreds of subjects with successful careers, numerous friends, and loving families. Perfectly normal. But as soon as they were at their homes by themselves, they began presenting behavior consistent with those suffering from dementia, schizophrenia, and various other acute mental illnesses.
Researchers illustrated the study's findings with footage of 29-year-old test subject Brian Temple, who, despite having a steady job and maintaining an ordinary social life, exhibited increasingly erratic and unstable activity from the moment he was alone in his apartment, including dancing in his kitchen to no music whatsoever, making grotesque faces in the mirror for extended periods of time, and seemingly having conversations with no one in particular.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live, and yeah, we're here live on this Memorial Day edition of the program, and we're just acknowledging that that's the day that it is, not that we're celebrating or anything like that, because, well, I don't
Even as a statist, it's really weird to celebrate Memorial Day.
because it's a day to remember people dying in service of politicians.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it is important to point out here, and I don't speak for you, Melanie. So correct me if I'm getting this wrong. But let me see if I can encapsulate the viewpoint here between us. There's not really anything to respect about serving politicians in the process of going and killing innocent people all around the globe. So
yeah, so I would add two caveats to that, which are the main reasons why I don't do like anti-Memorial Day, whereas I do anti some other holidays. You have a lot of people who were drafted and not having a draft is a very recent thing, and in most of the world, it's still the norm to have a draft. So at that point, you're talking about slaves, not about necessarily aggressors. But then second of all, most people, until really, really recently, weren't like, hey, you know what? Let's go kill some people for the Federal Reserve. That sounds like a good time, and I can get a scholarship out of it. Most people, I think, were lied to about what was actually going on and kind of had no way of knowing, in a way that, you know, cops or somebody like that doesn't really have that excuse because they're not living in the Middle East. They're living in the States. So they didn't necessarily have a reason to disbelieve those lies. So I'm not going to attack them as hard as I would somebody who knew better when they joined in. You also can't quit as you can.
You can
you're a cop.
try, but yeah,
but
they might put you in a
can
prison
try.
cell.
Whether you're successful is a different story.
So if you want to comment on Memorial Day, you're certainly welcome to do so. We've talked about animals being sentient or not, and that was actually the conversation we were in the middle of.
And I got a text clarification because I'm really bad at this sometimes, but apparently sentience is self-awareness and sapience is the ability for abstract thoughts.
We're going to continue with that discussion, and then on the way here, Melanie, you've got a dilemma that you wanted to talk about, but first we go to the phones, to the fun. Matthew is in Louisiana. Matthew, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, before I get to the story of my grandfather, the conscientious objector in World War I have to ask, what happened to the podcast from yesterday? It vanished. It never downloaded.
Okay.
Or loaded of any kind.
No one has reported that to me, so that's news to me. I did not know that. I will take a look into it, Matthew. I don't have an answer for you right now because that's the first I've heard of it.
Okay. All right. So my grandfather, he was drafted, but he didn't necessarily mind going. He wanted to do his bit, but they didn't train them in the United States at that time. They literally gave them their uniforms and put them on a troop ship and off to France for training. And he discovered in the process of training, he didn't think he could kill somebody else. He wanted to do his bit, but he didn't think he could kill somebody else. So they were like, oh, right, you're over here, so how about driving an ambulance? And so he drove a Model T ambulance during the war, and on one occasion, when he was driving back to the front to pick up the wounded, you know those Model T ambulances with the olive drab sides and the white circle with the red cross in the middle?
I think I might have seen that in a movie somewhere, sure.
Yeah, well, they made great ranging sites for the German guns. And they hit his ambulance.
Oh,
he didn't get killed or anything, but obviously he spent a little time in the hospital himself.
Wow.
So that was his story of being a conscientious objector in World War I.
Yeah, see, to me, so conscientious objector is a legal term that the military has. And it doesn't really actually mean somebody who objects to war. It means that it's as you pointed out, somebody who objects to being one of the fighters in the war. So they still force those people into service of the state because, you know, like you pointed out, he was still helping them. He was helping the people who were fighting the war. But to me, I would object to the entire thing. I would object to if I were being told to pack a box or to serve lunch to or to do any other thing that isn't an actual violent action that is in support of the people taking violent action, I would object to that as well. I object to being forced into any kind of service to the state.
Okay, so I'm not going to hold the guy from, 60 years ago, something like that, to the same level of knowledge that I'm going to hold somebody in 2018. Somebody saying, I have qualms about killing another human being, that's not really a moral statement. That's a psychological statement about yourself. So I don't know what he thought about this war. He might have not done anything wrong on the facts as he knew them. He probably had really bad facts.
Probably.
So I'm not going to.
The fact of the matter is, at that time, the press was when suddenly Wilson decided that war needed to be the thing we needed to do. The press became all super duper jingoist, and off to war we went. I mean, the term yellow journalism exists for a reason, and to my mind, they're pretty much still doing it.
Sure.
Yeah, and I'm especially like that was well pre-internet. There was no real way to get
good
other information.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to say, well, everybody who fought it anymore ever, like, no, you have different levels of knowledge with different people. Although legally, to be a conscientious objector in the legal sense, you do have to object to all war. They just make you do a non-combative role anyway.
Well, yeah, and that was what he got. Like that guy in World War II who basically was a medic and just ran around unarmed, saving soldiers, both ours and the enemy's. But a really good YouTube channel on World War I, highly recommend it, is The Great War. It's not pro-war, it's not anti-war, it's just the facts. Ciao.
Hey, Matthew, before you go, I did want to add in here, first of all, if there's ever an issue, this is for anybody, not just you, but if there's ever an issue with the podcast or that you believe there's some sort of technical problem, the best way to get it to my attention is to just send an email, ian@freetalklive.com, or post it on our Discord chat, whichever one is easiest for you. That'll get my attention long before we're on the air. But I will say this, I did check. Looks like the podcast is fine, so maybe there's an issue on your end. But as I say, send an email. We can get into further detail on what the problem is, okay?
All right, well, I'll take a look at my phone. It might have just popped up, or my phone might be, just having a bad day.
Sure, it happens.
Ciao.
Hey, thanks, Matthew. I appreciate the call tonight. The toll-free number, if you want to join us here, is 855-450, free like freedom. It's not to say there haven't been times when we screwed up the podcast. That has definitely been the case. I have many times forgotten to do that. But the good news is that behind the scenes, we've tightened ship a little bit. There's a new program that we're running that makes doing the podcast more streamlined and automated so that even Mark can do it. And if you know anything about Mark, if he can do it, then anybody can, as far as like technology is concerned. So we've made it like super easy, and it's hard to screw it up now. So hopefully we'll see fewer mistakes when it comes to the podcast, because like I said, I've made quite a few over the years. Anyway, if you want to grab our podcast, which for those that don't know, the podcast is an automatic delivery method for our audio archives. So you subscribe to it with a program like iTunes, or I don't know what the other ones are called, but there's several of them out there, different podcast clients. There's some for the phones as well. And then it will automatically deliver to you when our show uploads each night. You'll get the latest episode, and you don't have to actually go through any steps. They're just there waiting for you, say, the next morning as you're going to work or something like that. You can go to our podcast feeds page over at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. You'll find different podcast feeds there. There's the main feed, which has all of our podcast content, including the Daily Digest, the Edgington Post when those get released. There are also some feeds that are specific to certain content. So if you don't have a whole lot of time and you just want to hear our Daily Digest, which is like a 20 to 30 minute version of the show put together by Riley Blake, who's one of our listeners and supporters and amplifiers, you can just subscribe to the Daily Digest version of our feed, and there's a few other versions as well. So go check that out at feeds.freetalklive.com. We'll continue. Your calls and thoughts welcome here. This is Free Talk Live.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Imagine this is you. You're working late when you get an alert on your smartphone. Your motion-activated Blink security camera picked up something at home. You pop open your Blink app and see the silhouette of a man peering through your kitchen window. The job of a home security system is to help stop crime. Get 3 Blink cams for way less than the other guys, plus an extra 15% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL, like Free Talk Live. Blinkprotect.com/FTL to save 15%.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
Zencash is an end-to-end encrypted system with zero-knowledge technology over which communications, data, or value can be securely transmitted and stored. With over 7,500 secure nodes, Zencash has one of the most distributed node systems of any cryptocurrency. Zencash is a platform for cryptocurrency and communications built by voluntarists for voluntarists, with the ideas of voluntary interaction being written into the white paper no less than half a dozen times. Learn more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live shows 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial toll free to join us on the radio. You can take control of the airwaves at 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We do have Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. And Free Talk Live is brought to you by Bitcoin.com. Great place to go and learn about Bitcoin. It's not too late. You see the price of Bitcoin. It's actually down over the last few days. It's getting close to around $7,000 per Bitcoin. I say down because it has been as high as 19,000. Recently, it's been hovering at around 8,000 to 9,000. So it's down from what it's been hovering at recently. Might be a good time to consider getting some. And you can get both Bitcoin Core and Bitcoin Cash over at Bitcoin.com. They offer them both. Sometimes it depends on where you live in the world because some are, for whatever reason, their system only allows certain people in certain places to get one or both. But either way, you can go and get them over at Bitcoin.com in most places in the world. And also, if you want to get involved in the Bitcoin mining world, they've got a Bitcoin mining pool that you can jump into over at pool.bitcoin.com. You don't have to know anything about how to mine or the technical aspects of it. You just have to be willing to put an investment in and then hopefully collect on the returns at pool.bitcoin.com. As we continue here, we'll, of course, take your calls about whatever's on your mind. On the way, a dilemma that, Melanie, you've been wanting to discuss. But at the very end of the last hour, we were talking about animals because you were sounding really jaded or callous, I guess would be a better term, towards...
Yeah, I say I'm callous towards animals that can't exhibit sapience.
And define sapience again?
Okay, so I messed it up the first time. Sentience is actually self-awareness, but then sapience is the ability to think abstractly. I don't know how you have self-awareness without having abstract thought, though. That seems not possible to me.
So to think abstractly would mean to be able to think sort of outside of yourself, right? Is that right?
So, like, abstract versus concrete thought.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how to explain this.
How do you define that, then?
Like, concrete thoughts or thoughts of, I guess, vaguely defined,
like I'm hungry
physical items
or something.
So, thinking that you're hungry is actually an abstract thought, but that doesn't mean that there's not going to be other systems set up to make you eat, even if you're not like aware of the fact that you're hungry. So, amoebas, I guess they eat, or some, really simple organism still eats, but it's not like, oh, I'm hungry, it's time for lunch now.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to, I guess, look into more of what abstract thought is, because I can't really define that. Does that mean I can't think abstractly?
No, it does not. I vouch for your abstract thinking skills. So thinking about the state would be abstract thought. Thinking about there's a guy in front of me with a gun and a funny clothes is more concrete thoughts.
Abstract thinking, it says here, is the ability to think about objects, principles, and ideas that are not physically present. Okay. It is related to symbolic thinking, which uses the substitution of a symbol for an object or idea. A variety of everyday behaviors constitute abstract thinking. So to think about something that's not there, right? So the old test with, like, the babies, where if you hide the item from the baby, do they know it's still there?
So object permanence is a type of abstract thought.
Meaning that if they see the object now, but then it's hidden, do they know the object is still somewhere? That's the idea of object permanence, that in their mind they have the abstract thought of, oh, that thing's still somewhere.
It's behind the wall or whatever.
Or, the person has put it behind their back or whatever. So since you're now changing the term to sapience, are you saying that if an animal is not sapient, meaning that it does not have the ability to think abstractly, that you don't care about it?
Yes.
Okay, so sentience is not a factor.
But I also don't know how you have sentience without having sapience. That doesn't make sense to me at all. Because if you're aware of yourself, I don't know how that's not an abstract thought.
Good point. So therefore, then, if the dolphin can see itself in the mirror, then you would agree that it is sapient.
I would not agree. No.
But the mirror test is the classic test to determine whether or not a thing can be aware of itself.
So there are problems in these tests with separating reaction to stimuli with actually being aware of a concept. And I don't know a good way to, and I'm not a psychological researcher either, but I don't know of a good way to separate that out. So the fact that something reacts to a stimuli is not going to make me convinced that it is consciously aware of the concept of that stimuli.
National Geographic here from 2001. Dolphins recognize themselves in mirrors, one of the few mammals other than humans that have the ability to do so, according to a study published, again, in May of 2001. Described in the May issue of Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, the study found that dolphins not only can recognize themselves in a mirror, but also can notice changes in their appearance. Prior to this research, only higher primates, such as humans and chimpanzees, had demonstrated self-recognition in mirrors. Diana Rice of the Osborne Laboratory of Marine Sciences and somebody else conducted the study involving 2 bottlenose dolphins from the New York Aquarium. The scientists first marked the dolphins with sham marks, then exposed them to a mirror. After several repetitions, the scientists put temporary black ink on parts of the dolphins' bodies, which the animals could only see in a mirror. In each of the trials, the dolphins went to the mirror to examine the areas the scientists had marked. Marino and Rice said their findings, quote, provide definitive evidence that the 2 dolphins in this study used the mirror to investigate the parts of their body that were marked. So it wasn't just like, oh, the dolphin sees a thing in the mirror and reacts. It's looking at itself, checking itself out, that specific area of its body in the mirror, just as a human would do if it had a mark or strange thing on its body. The MARC test was devised by Gordon Gallup Jr., professor of psychology at the State University of New York in Albany. He had used the test to demonstrate self-recognition by chimpanzees. And while the test has been used with many other animals, including primates, elephants, and parrots, this is the first time non-primates have reacted to a mirror by using it to examine themselves. One of the most important implications of the study is it shows that the ability to recognize one's own appearance is not specific to primates. According to Marino, this study is interesting because dolphins and primate brains have evolved along very different lines. Quote, our study shows that the same behavior can be an outcome of two very differently organized brains, she said. Previous research suggested that self-recognition was possible only in animals with a frontal lobe, such as humans and other primates. This study, however, suggests that the ability is probably linked with more general characteristics, such as a large brain size and cognitive ability. An interesting difference between primates and dolphins' behavior is that the dolphins paid attention to the markings on their own bodies, but not to similar markings on other dolphins. Similar research on chimpanzees has shown that they notice markings on their peers. The scientists speculate that the difference may be related to the fact that chimps groom each other, but dolphins do not. The study also raises questions about the self-awareness of dolphins and the ethics of using these animals in scientific experiments. So there you go, a little bit of information about dolphins and their ability to recognize themselves in mirrors, which sets them apart from pretty much the rest of the animal kingdom, with the exception of humans and other primates.
Yeah, so I would be completely willing to believe that all primates, or at least most primates, can think abstractly. Maybe dolphins can.
So you do care about them, is what you're saying.
Yeah, so it would be weird to abuse apes.
All right, more coming up here, but you're okay with abusing other animals. 855-450-3733. You can take control of the airwaves here. You can bring up what you want. It is a live edition of Free Talk Live on Memorial Day.
It's a no-brainer. A Big Berkey water filter is the one you need, period. You need a water filter that removes chlorine, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, BPA, and other endocrine disruptors, pesticides, bacteria, viruses, and much more, right? And does it all at only 2 cents per gallon. Get the original and most trusted name in gravity water filtration, Big Berkey. And now GCN listeners receive 5% off ceramic filter systems using code GCN. Call or click 1-877-99-BERKEY or BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY.
We call it the crapper, water closet, outhouse, or bathroom. But where do you go when there's nowhere to go? The answer is the Biffy Bag. The Biffy Bag is a pocket-sized disposable toilet that fits in your glove box, tackle box, toolbox, backpack, or purse. The Biffy Bag has everything you need for a sanitary and comfortable relief experience. It's ready to use in just seconds, and just toss it in the trash when you're done. It's your Biffy in a jiffy. BiffyBag.com. BiffyBag.com.
Citing their effortless physical strength, affability, and notable base tans, reports from the country's pools, lakes, and beaches have indicated that once again, the nation's Blakes coasted effortlessly through this year's seasonal lifeguard tryouts. Onion reporters spoke with Cincinnati Centennial Pool's manager, Charles Walker, about the exceptional performance of his Blakes.
We always see strong performances from Blakes, but this year's crop did especially well. Blake D did the 25-yard underwater swim in 86 seconds. Blake S and Blake C both carried subjects 40 yards without breaking a sweat.
In addition to qualifying as pool managers and certified aquatics instructors, the nation's Blakes significantly outshined the nation's stewards in swimming, performing CPR, diving, and glistening.
I'm definitely looking forward to being a lifeguard this summer. I heard the test was kind of hard, but it was actually kind of easy.
Our Kaylas are looking pretty strong too. As long as we have a few Blakes and Kaylas out there on the weekends, we'll be set.
This is the Onion News Network.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. You can dial toll-free. Join us right here, and we'll take your calls. We are live on this Memorial Day edition of Free Talk Live. With you tonight, it's Ian.
Melanie.
And Mark.
And a freshly roused Mark.
I don't know what's wrong with me today.
The first ever on-air nap on Free Talk Live in 15 years. So you're feeling better now.
Yeah.
That's good. For those of you just tuning in, including Mark, we were talking about animals and, awareness, self-awareness of animals. I just shared a 2001 report from National Geographic about how dolphins are self-aware. They can, see themselves, recognize themselves in mirrors. The test in 2001, actually, they marked a part of the dolphin's body with temporary ink, and the dolphin would actually examine that particular part of its body in the mirror. So it wouldn't, couldn't see it normally, but it used the mirror to be able to examine that part of itself. So that's more than just, oh, look, it sees itself in the mirror. That's like, it's specifically looking at that part of itself. And so that was
pretty clear. It understands what, what's going on.
It is. Yeah, it understands that it has a self. And so I was bringing that up because Melanie didn't think there was anything in the ocean that rose to that level of self-awareness. And so the thing they pointed out was that puts dolphins in a very unique category along with humans and primates, basically.
I thought elephants were the same way. But
yeah, I think elephants. It did mention elephants in that story.
And then like crows.
Crows?
Yeah.
Crows exhibit some limited forms of intelligence.
Well, there's
I haven't
the tool
really
fashioning.
looked into it a whole lot.
So there's tool fashioning that I think crows have been observed doing, but they're certainly not the only animals that have the ability to do that. There was a video of, I believe it was crows, that took a long bendable stick thing.
I think I've seen that video, if it's the same one that was
Yeah, and they turned it into a hook to get it down into a jar that they couldn't get their beak down into in order to fetch a worm or something like that was down there. So the ability to fashion a tool is generally considered to be a very high-end kind of level of thinking.
Right.
So, this all came out of the discussion around the question of sentience, and we were originally talking about the ocean and the European Union proposing to ban straws and other plastic parts. And Melanie's attitude was like, screw the animals in the ocean. They don't have feelings, or they don't know they exist. So I don't care what happens to them.
It wasn't even about animals originally. It was about you can't own this land, therefore, and nobody can own this land. Therefore, I don't see why I should care about it.
Well, right, and you've a very
ultimately
but
that's
then
what
Ian
happens.
was like, but animals up there.
Yes, that's right.
Even though Ian takes animals, puts them in tiny cages their whole life, kills them, chops them up, cooks them, and eats them.
Whoa. I don't do any of that except for the eating part.
No, yes, you do.
I don't do the cooking. I don't do the chopping.
Okay, so having someone do it for you is the same thing.
Yes, that's true.
If you buy ground meat at the grocery store, you have done everything that gets ground meat to the grocery store.
It's true, and I am grateful for the people who are willing to do that kind of stuff, because I'm not going to do it.
Well, that doesn't make any sense.
Why?
I mean, you're willing to pay someone to do it for you,
Yes.
which is the exact moral equivalent of doing it yourself.
Just about, yeah.
No,
you're
not
right
just
about
about. It is. It's the exact same thing.
I just said I was grateful for them for doing that. And sometimes they kill them in a more humane way, right? Like there's the or they keep
I'm
them
sure
in
the
a more,
commercials say so.
more
Unless you're
humane way.
getting your groceries from like a farm, unless you're getting like I don't even know if I should name anybody, but unless you're getting all your groceries from like a local farm that doesn't have supply scaled to mass produce, then no, you're buying cows and chickens that were stuffed in little boxes.
That's true. But that doesn't mean that
kept as items, because that's what they are.
That doesn't mean that they don't have feelings.
I think that feelings are probably, that many animals exhibit feelings, and that they're, from high to low, that's just part of consciousness. That doesn't. But what does that have to do with anything? So they've got thoughts too, like food, like what? So okay.
I don't value anything that can't think abstractly, but Ian does, except when he's eating them.
The toll-free number here, if you want to join us, is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. I didn't say I place the same value on them as I place on humans.
Oh, so why is it worse for me to not care than for you to hire people to torture and kill cows?
I didn't say it was worse.
Which I also do, but
I just say
I'm
you
not
sound way more callous. That's all.
Because I'm honest about it. Because I'm like, I don't care about cows. I kill them, regularly. Chickens too. Like, pretending I care would be better? That doesn't make any sense.
I'm not sure that I can come up with the best answer in the world, but like poisoning their environment and a whole bunch of them at once seems so much worse than picking an individual animal one at a time.
Because then at least
several a day.
At least then, if you're killing an animal to eat, then you're benefiting yourself or others.
And if you're removing garbage from a human environment, you're benefiting yourself and others. Like if I'm allowed to value them so low that I can kill them.
Well, if the highest value for you is the human environment, then remember there's also humans who, they inhabit the sea, right? They're on boats. They live on boats. Mark has talked about going out and doing a seastead where you build platforms on the ocean.
And so
do you think those people want a bunch of garbage washing up on their little boat?
I think those people know how to navigate around it.
It washes all over the damn place.
The ocean was highly populated by people, then I would have a different opinion about throwing garbage into the ocean.
Well, nobody's going to want to go out into a garbage bin or whatever. You're not.
Well, then I guess the state should quit stopping people from homesteading it.
Well, then that's something we do agree on, is that people should be able to homestead the oceans, so therefore they have an interest in protecting them. We were talking about animals, and I did say I happen to actually have a dolphin story in the news here tonight. This from the BBC, where scientists in a marine park near Paris are attempting to measure how dolphins feel about aspects of their lives in captivity. And what researchers say is the first project to examine captivities from the animal's perspective. The team assessed what activities dolphins looked forward to the most. They found that marine mammals most keenly anticipated interacting with a familiar human. The results, they say, show that, quote, better human-animal bonds equals better welfare, unquote. The study, published in the journal Applied Animal Behavior Science, was part of a 3-year project to measure dolphin welfare in a captive setting. Lead researcher Dr. Isabella Clegg worked at Parc Asterix, a theme park with one of France's largest dolphinariums. With colleagues at the University of Paris Animal Behavior Lab, she designed experiments to decode dolphin behavior, essentially looking for physical postures that indicate how the animals were feeling. We wanted to find out what activities in captivity they like the most. To work this out, she tested 3 activities: a trainer coming and playing with dolphins, adding toys to the pool, and a control, which meant leaving the dolphins to their own devices. Clegg said, "We found a really interesting result. that all dolphins look forward most to interacting with a familiar human. The animals showed this anticipation by spy hopping, which is the action of peering above the surface and looking in the direction that trainers usually approached from. The dolphins would also increase their level of activity in the pool and spend more time at the edge. Dr. Clegg added, "We've seen the same thing in other zoo animals and in farm animals. Better human bonds equals better welfare." The question of whether it's right or wrong to hold these animals in captivity has long been a point of contention, particularly in France, where the French government recently overturned a proposed ban on the captive breeding of dolphins in marine parks. The lifting of that ban was a huge relief for Brigitte Mercera, who runs the Dolphinarium. She told the BBC that allowing the dolphins to breed and to raise their own offspring was a critical part of what she suggested was a happy, though very different life from that in the wild. She says, "I think that wild dolphins are happier."
Humans don't live in the wild much anymore.
No.
It's pretty rare, and living in the wild kind of stinks. People have, this real romanticized notion about animals and living in the wild, but,
you die sooner in the wild,
part of the
usually.
definition is being on the verge of starvation, basically.
Constantly hunting for the next meal.
Well, yeah. The environment is going to support as many animals as it does, and that means that you only get as many calories as it takes to make it to the next meal.
Not to mention being hunted. You might end up being the meal in the environment. There's more coming up here. You can share your thoughts. Free Talk Live.
Imagine this is you. You're working late when you get an alert on your smartphone. Your motion-activated Blink security camera picked up something at home. You pop open the Blink app and see the silhouette of a man peering through your kitchen window. You dial 911 and the police roll. The job of a home security system is to help stop crime, which is why I chose Blink. Get 3 Blink cams for way less than the other guys, plus an extra 15% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. blinkprotect.com/FTL.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
This is Fred.
Hi, I'm Fred.
Fred's a repeater.
I tend to repeat.
Fred has a business.
I do have a business.
And a problem. Fred repeats the same tired advertising over and over, and now it doesn't work.
Over and over.
But Fred is about to see a vision.
I'm seeing a vision.
Advertising on the Genesis Communications Network is the smart way for Fred to reach his potential customers with the most affordable national advertising rates, period. Get started today with GCN, the Genesis Communications Network. Just email advertise@gcnlive.com.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
My name is Angel Rach. I'm a mother of 2 teenage children, and I fought all the way to the Supreme Court for the right to use the medicine that saved my life. I've been permanently disabled for 10 years, with an inoperable brain tumor, wasting syndrome, and several other serious conditions. For 4 years, I was in a wheelchair, in so much pain I couldn't even hug my kids. The hardest part was looking in their eyes and seeing how much they were suffering because of my medical condition. The medicine that gave me my life back and gave my kids their mom back was cannabis, also known as medical marijuana. With medical marijuana, I can walk, maintain my weight, and I can be a mom. Without it, my doctors believe that I would die. To learn more about medical marijuana, contact Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or on the web at mpp.org.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Dial toll free, bring up what you want. Our number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. The Skype username is LRN.FM. Joining you in the studio tonight, it's Ian,
Melanie,
and Mark.
And also, Free Talk Live is brought to you by Zencash. You've heard about Bitcoin, of course. You know that cryptocurrency. That was the first one, the biggest one, the most popular, and the very, very pricey one. Zencash is pretty new to the world of cryptocurrencies. It started in the year 2017, and it was most importantly made by voluntarists, people who understand the ideas of liberty and economics, and further, they've got some of the best technology involved in Zencash. Unlike Bitcoin, which is public, and anybody can look at all the transactions on a public ledger, Zencash can be used anonymously via its zero-knowledge anonymity features, so it's got some of the best technology out there, and it seems like the market is responding because there have been a lot of interest in Zencash. There are over 11,000 secure nodes in the Zencash network, which means that it actually has more secure nodes than Bitcoin has full nodes. Which is indication of a level of security that is pretty much unmatched by most of the other cryptocurrencies out there, including Bitcoin Core. So you can go and learn more about it by checking out their white paper, which actually mentions voluntarism in the white paper. Go to zencash.com and learn more about it there. Do your due diligence at zencash.com. As we continue here, Mark, earlier in the show, you wanted to get into the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto. Somebody has done a blog post about these things, and it's been quite a long time since we've talked about them here on Free Talk Live. Back a decade or so ago when we first discussed the 10 planks, we went through them and we kind of analyzed whether or not we thought they were applicable today, if they'd been applied in the United States, and we found that 8.5, I think was our number that we came up with, of them had been definitely implemented. So where's the story coming from now?
TheDailyBell.com. Are you familiar with this site?
I feel like we might have reported from there previously, but...
Yeah, he's kind of, this is by Joe Jarvis.
We know Joe Jarvis.
Yep, and it's, sort of a libertarian-type site.
Yeah, he's definitely a libertarian.
Yep. So,
we've seen him at Porcupine Freedom Festivals in the past.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So, it's a rather lengthy article and lots of
there are 10 planks.
Thoughts surrounding it. I think I'm just going to read the planks and then maybe a little bit about some of the thoughts there, and then we can expound ourselves. So, number 1, abolition of all public land and application of all rents of land to public purposes.
Hold on, abolition of public land?
That's basically means anybody's ability to own land, and of course application of all rents of land to the public purposes, if that makes sense.
Meaning taking all the money generated by that land and giving it to the government.
Yeah, we don't have that. So we have kind of the threat of that in some cases. We don't have the abolition of all private lands.
No, it's. We don't at this point.
But there is a significant chunk of the rent, if you will, meaning property tax, that does go to the government, and almost every piece of property has that, with the exception of some churches and a few educational institutions.
Yeah, and whatever the government itself doesn't own.
Right.
So there's that.
So is that a half point for that one?
No, I'd say that it's getting there. Also known as property taxes, can you really say that you own land if you must pay the government every year in order to keep it? Fail to pay your rent, and they'll eventually confiscate your land. This money is then used for public purposes like public schools and police, and will remove you from government land if you fail to pay the rent. So they claim they either have the land or they claim some rent from you for possession of the land, and that's true almost every time, unless you're talking about a church. And there is also a not-for-profit exemption, but that's written into their laws, and they could take that away anytime they feel like it. So I'm not sure that that's entirely fair to just not give them a full point for this.
Yeah, that's a stretch. There are also some states that don't have property taxes, and there are some states that and there are some states that have homestead exemptions, which is not what it sounds like, to a value that would cover a lot of single dwelling houses.
But that's all still at their pleasure, right? Because they could change that anytime they want.
Everything is.
Or
so
even
if there just was no property tax, they still would have the ability at any time to create one when they felt like it.
True.
So I don't see how that's a distinction. Yeah, that's a stretch.
So you want to say yes on this one?
I gotta go with no on that.
No on this one.
That's.
I'm gonna go with a half point on this one because they don't. I mean, I see what you're saying is that they have total control over property if they want it, because they've got total violence, right? Like they have the ability to use more violence than you do against you. And so the fact that you have any control of your property is just because they'd rather have you do the upgrades to it and take care of it and mow the lawn and things like that. And then you just pay them for it.
Yeah, it's a really convenient gig that they have when it comes to property taxes, that, you buy a raw piece of land, then you come and beg them for a permit, which you have to pay for, to build on that land, and then you build on that land with materials that have all been taxed through entities that have all been taxed. And then when you build that thing, finally they've got some structure. They then raise the taxes on the land that they had nothing to do with, improving, other than, I suppose, providing you a road and allowing companies to put things on that road, like the electricity and internet service and stuff like that. And then, boom, they tax you. Based on all that stuff.
So I've got a chart going here. Melanie, you're going to say 0 on that one. I'm going to give a half point. And Mark?
I'm going to take a half point.
You're going to do a half point on that one. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Number 2, a heavy progressive or graduated income tax. So we certainly have a graduated income tax, and heavy is clearly subjective.
If you were making any money at all, they're taking at least half.
They're doing their best. And plus, let's point out that just because it doesn't fall under the category of income tax doesn't mean that it's not part of a graduated income tax, because, property taxes are graduated, and they're not necessarily progressive in the sense that...
Progressive meaning that you get taxed more based on...
Within the same jurisdiction, yes, they are.
But wait. Progressive means you get taxed more based on what you earn, right?
Yeah, so it's a higher rate if you earn more, rather than if it's 10%.
That's not true with property tax. With property tax in a jurisdiction, it's just the millage rate.
That's not always true.
Really? I'm not familiar with any situation where if it's worth more that you pay more.
There are some places that have property tax brackets.
Huh. Wow.
And if you look at places with homestead exemptions, that's essentially a property tax bracket. So in Louisiana, it's 0 to 75 is 0%, and then above that is whatever it is. 75,000, yeah.
I know in Florida it's 25,000.
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess that's...
I'm going to give them a point on that one. I'm going to give a full point on progressive taxation.
But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So all three of us with 1 point there. Okay.
Abolition of all right of inheritance. So they want...
meaning you would not be able to pass on anything to your heirs.
That's the idea.
It all goes to the state.
Yes. Now, clearly that's not happening, and I believe that they've really knocked out the death tax largely in the United States, quite generally.
For poorer people, yes.
And the rich generally find a good way to get around these things. Not always, but, they're pretty good at putting stuff into trusts and then those sorts of things. So you could conceivably have some piece of property, put it in a trust or an LLC or some entity, some legal entity's name, and then pass that on to somebody else. Just change ownership.
Except for the gift tax.
So there's above $60,000, then there's a gift tax. Yeah, that's true. So what are you going on in this one, Melanie?
Yeah, that's like at least half a point.
A point?
That's almost a point.
Even though, wait. Read the original, the plank on that one again.
Abolition of all right of inheritance.
You can't give half a point on something that says all, right?
Well, if something says all and it happens half the time, I can give it half a point. I understand your argument, but we're not judging it on grammar. Or at least I'm not.
It says there's a hefty exemption. The first 11 million is not taxed. While that means few typical people will be affected, it still fits with the communist strategy of demonizing the rich, and every dollar over the exemption is taxed at 40%. Then you think about it, at 11 million is not so much money when you're talking about a business, even a relatively small family business that might be passed down through inheritance. If a business is worth $15 million, the family of the deceased would owe $1.6 million. If they don't have $1.6 million hanging around, they have to dismantle the business in order to pay the tax. That would mean a loss of good proletariat jobs and a hit to the economy.
Right, but wait a minute. What percentage of people who die have more than $11 million?
Probably not a large percentage, but...
is it less than 5%?
Well, see, with something like a business, they can assess that more or less however they want to assess that. So just because you don't have 11 mil in reserve notes in your bank account doesn't mean you don't have 11 mil in property.
Yeah, but a business is a thing that exists separate from you. It's a legal
fiction.
fiction.
Someone owns it.
It's a legal fiction, so you could just pass that ownership along to somebody else.
Yeah, and it gets taxed at the... Yeah, and if you
Let's come back
do it
with
through
more
a will,
here.
it gets
Hour number
taxed
3 is next.
tax.
This is Free Talk Live. More on the Communist Manifesto.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $9.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Temporarily from Omaha, Nebraska, the gateway to the West, this is Darrell W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for the weekend of May 26th through 28th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.51 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,302 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $37, and the average price of Bitcoin is $7,429. Antiwar.com reports the U.S. Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction, SIGAR, issued a new report on Thursday. The report concluded that the 15-year, $5 billion Afghan stabilization program has been a failure. SIGAR concluded that the U.S. had unrealistic expectations for the timeline of stabilizing Afghanistan and that many of the programs they attempted actually backfired. The report said that the problem was that they focused on the most dangerous districts in Afghanistan first, where the poor security made it virtually impossible to follow through on building projects. When the U.S. withdrew from those areas, the programs ended outright. Other programs, which were meant to increase Afghan government control, backfired even worse. In giving the corrupt Afghan government control over more districts, they exposed those areas to much greater corruption.
For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals. Gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. They don't feed the banks. They're Bitcoin preferred and have removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
UPI reports the former commanding officer of the USS John McCain pled guilty on Friday to dereliction of duty for a crash in 2017 that killed 10 soldiers. Under the plea deal, Navy Commander Alfredo Sanchez was issued a punitive letter of reprimand and was ordered to forfeit $6,000 in wages. Sanchez also agreed to submit a letter of resignation. The USS John McCain collided with an oil tanker, the Alnic MC, on August 20th, 2017 after making a sudden turn in the Singapore Strait. The turn caused the U.S. Navy warship to head into the path of the tanker. The Transportation Safety Investigation Bureau of Singapore said in a report in March that when the oil tanker crew saw the U.S. warship turning, they presumed the vessel could safely pass ahead.
Are you looking for a cryptocurrency that has a focus on users and usability? Then look into Zencash. Zencash has the ability to use both transparent and shielded transactions, with shielded transactions using zero-knowledge proofs. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
Reuters reports a jury in South Carolina on Friday could not agree on a verdict in a case of a woman whose family said her long-term use of Johnson & Johnson's baby powder led to her death from asbestos-related cancer, which resulted in a mistrial. The case of Bertila Boyd Bosket, who died of a rare form of cancer in 2017 at the age of 30, is the latest in a series of trials in the United States that center around allegations that the company's talc-based powder contained asbestos. The company said in a statement, "We're disappointed that the jury did not reach a unanimous verdict for Johnson & Johnson," adding the talc in Johnson's baby powder does not contain asbestos, which is supported by more than 50 years of independent, non-litigation-driven scientific evaluations. Asbestos is a known carcinogen linked to mesothelioma, the type of cancer Boyd Bostic had been diagnosed with at the age of 29. After 2 weeks of trial, the jury in Darlington County Court of Common Pleas in South Carolina said it could not decide whether Johnson & Johnson was responsible for the disease. Under South Carolina state law, a jury has to make a unanimous decision. The case also named as a defendant the U.S. unit of talc supplier Imeris, as well as the local unit of the Rite Aid, one of the largest drugstore chains, which allegedly sold the baby powder used by the woman. Johnson & Johnson is battling some 9,000 cases claiming its talc products caused ovarian cancer, but litigants have recently focused on claims based on alleged asbestos contamination. The California jury on Thursday awarded $25.7 million in damages to a woman and her husband over allegations that the company's baby powder had caused her mesothelioma. A New Jersey jury in April ordered Johnson & Johnson and Imeris Talc America to pay $117 million to a man who alleged he developed mesothelioma due to asbestos exposure from talc-based products. The company won the only other asbestos-related trial in November when a Los Angeles Superior Court jury ruled in their favor. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
A new video game is being criticized for its harsh portrayal of barbed wire. Here's GameBite's Caitlin Torres with more.
Bethesda's The Evil Within is a nightmarish adventure that shows bloody and rusty barbed wire being used to hurt innocent people, which has angered the nation's barbed wire producers.
Barbed wire is a positive force for good. It protects our junkyards from scrap metal thieves and helps keep our cattle ranches safe from rustlers. But Bethesda thinks it's okay to ignore all the benefits of barbed wire and make it look like some scary thing used by murderers.
The designers have promised that the game will feature prominent messages extolling the virtues of the sharp steel fencing. But barbed wire groups say that it's too little too late.
If Bethesda wants to make this right, they should have the main character go behind a fence and then be safe from monsters because they can't climb over the barbed wire to get him. Now that's a game I would play.
Let's hope Bethesda listens.
Thanks, Caitlin.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. You can dial toll-free. Join us right here on the radio. Take control of the airwaves. Our number 855-450, free like freedom. And yes, we are here live on this Memorial Day edition of Free Talk Live. Joining you tonight, it's Ian.
Melanie.
And Mark.
855-450, free is our number. Also, Skype username is LRN.FM. Plus, we've got Discord with our on-air call-in line room over there at discord.lrn.fm. Where you can jump in and you'll sound almost like you're sitting here in the studio with us. We continue here. We've got more on the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto. We stopped at number 3, so we got a ways to go on that. We're going to go to your phone calls first, though, and talk to Jonathan. He's in Virginia, listening online at freetalklive.com. Hello, Jonathan.
Hey, how are you guys?
Hey, great.
I called in today. I was scrolling through Facebook. I'm sure you guys have seen the page, Checkpoint Free New Hampshire is the Facebook page.
No, I'm not on Facebook, but I'll take your word for it.
Well, they posted a link to a local news station down in Manchester, New Hampshire, and the news station referred to it as a Border Patrol checkpoint on I-93 heading southbound, about 80 miles south of the border. And when I glanced at it, I didn't quite understand the necessity of having a Border Patrol checkpoint up there in New Hampshire near the Canadian border. Down in Texas, they have a lot of them in Texas, and I feel like they're justified in Texas. But in New Hampshire, I feel like I'm siding with you guys. I feel like this is kind of a invasion of my privacy here. You just want to kind of
there's a couple points.
It's a lot harder to sell.
It's still just as outrageous to me. I'm opposed to all internal Border Patrol checkpoints. I'm opposed to all border checkpoints, period. But internal is just pure violations of people's right to get from point A to point B without molestation. But further, I was surprised to hear about this in New Hampshire, given the fact that the New Hampshire Supreme Court, I believe, recently ruled against the border checkpoints. Did they not?
I haven't read that case.
I'm not familiar with that situation.
I've
but
seen
I'll
that
check
headline, but I haven't read the case, so I'm not going to comment on what the case says or doesn't say.
Yeah, I was
surprised.
surprised.
I would say that what, to me, the issue is that you're talking about many centuries of English common law. Basically says that in order to detain you, that there needs to be reasonable, articulable suspicion that not only that a crime has been committed, but that you have committed that crime. And the idea that they can stop you and then ask you, hey, what's your citizenship? And then if you choose not to tell them, that they can hold you for any reason. I mean, there's just not, from a practical standpoint, I understand you're trying to look for people who aren't American citizens, but from a legal standpoint, and that's what this is based on, like all law has to fulfill these requirements, the idea that they can just hold you for whatever period of time until they're comfortable that you are an American citizen just doesn't hold legal water, and I don't understand how the Supreme Court could have ever come to that conclusion.
Okay, I just checked my facts here. I was wrong. It was not the New Hampshire Supreme Court. However, a district court in New Hampshire did rule that the border checkpoint searches were unconstitutional.
The feds are still going to be able to do it, though. It doesn't matter.
Well, but having the New Hampshire cops assist with it was unconstitutional.
Yeah, but then so what do you sue for? I have this federal charge on me and/or I'm being deported, and I want to sue New Hampshire for having there's.
Do you guys know what the purpose of them having those checkpoints in New Hampshire is? I mean, do we have a problem with Canadians sneaking across our border?
They were claiming that they were checking for bombs coming in from Canada, which just seems like the utmost BS to me. Like, doesn't even.
Is that a threat you had up there?
No, it's not.
They're looking for people with drugs. I mean, they had drug dogs sniffing around cars, apparently.
Right. Like when I was stopped in Texas, they had a dog there, and they claimed it was it was for finding illegal aliens. But what does an illegal alien smell like? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It
smells like drugs.
Right. The illegal alien smells remarkably like drugs.
So, Jonathan,
right,
you
so it
said
sounds
that
like
you support.
New Hampshire.
You saying you support internal checkpoints though on the southern border?
Well, in Texas, I feel like I understand the reason they have them, but in New Hampshire, I don't understand.
Well,
and
what's the
that's kinda why I was
reason they have
calling
them
you.
in Texas?
Well, Texas, we have Mexicans coming across our border illegally. That's what the government tells us.
Well,
and then
who
they
cares?
also say we have a drug problem coming across the border.
Well,
So
who
they allow them to
cares
put those
about
checkpoints down
people
there.
coming across the border without asking permission? I mean, really, isn't that what freedom's all about, to not ask permission to do something peaceful?
I suppose. I don't know. But
Wait, and, like,
I feel like
I
in
do-
Texas,
I do-
I understand the reasons.
Like, I do
feel like
agree that it's a much harder sell to not have a border checkpoint on the Mexican-U.S. border than it is on the Canadian-U.S. border.
Right,
Like,
right.
I understand how one's insane and one's wrong, but not just totally insane.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think any of them should exist. But there is like a sanity divide between having borders in Mexico and having borders in Canada.
I'm of the opinion, if you're, from a practical standpoint, if you're going to claim global hegemony for your organization, i.e. what the United States State Department does, and then you're going to prosecute wars in, certainly a handful of countries at any given time, and quite possibly dozens. We don't know what those special op guys, snake eaters, are doing. We just don't know. So from a practical standpoint, that if you're doing those things, that you're controlling the world in order to bring wealth to a particular city-state, i.e. Washington, D.C., and you're prosecuting wars everywhere, you pretty much have to have some kind of tight border security in order to prevent bad things from happening to your organization. That organization probably should stop doing bad things, not control its borders, but from a practical standpoint, I understand why that organization does what it does.
Jonathan?
Now, do all countries in the world patrol their borders at any level?
I don't know, but I also don't see how that's relevant. So the fact that France or Spain or Portugal does a thing has no bearing on whether or not that thing is either moral or efficient.
Right. See, I don't think that people in the United States who purport, many of them, to believe that this is supposed to be a free country would want to emulate less free countries.
Yeah.
I also would say that much of the I know when I went to Belize that their little guy that sits there and stamps your passport, that his booth had an American flag on it and was clearly said paid for by the United States State Department. I posted that on our Facebook page at the time, and I'm sure I could still hunt it down if I had to get the exact verbiage. But that basically many of these countries are incentivized financially to have these border checkpoints the way that they do by the U.S. State Department, in my opinion, to normalize what it is that the State Department does itself. I mean, I can't think of one good reason why Belize would want to limit the number of Americans that come in there and, go to their different tourist places and spend money. Yeah, they probably don't want them bringing in wild invasive monkeys or something. They're probably going to want to check your bags for indigenous or invasive species and that kind of thing. But other than that, yeah, come on in here and spend your money, Yankee.
Jonathan, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate the question and appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. I'd also like to add there's nothing wrong with drugs crossing the border either, because people want drugs, and with or without a war on drugs, people are going to continue to want drugs. It's just that the war on drugs makes selling them a whole lot more dangerous and more profitable for those who are willing to take the risks.
And the thing about controlling drugs coming in, it's kind of the standard, if nobody was buying, there'd be nothing to sell. There's not gangs from Mexico coming in and creating a demand for cocaine or weed or whatever else.
No, that already exists.
There is a demand for these drugs, and then since there's a demand, someone is going to supply it.
Well, and guess what? Once the states that have legalized cannabis, then the amount of demand that is being satisfied internally is actually much higher, meaning that there's more locally grown cannabis now that's being distributed in Colorado and California.
Yeah, I suspect very little Mexican weed is making it into Colorado.
You don't even see Mexican weed in New Hampshire, and it's not even legal here.
How do you know?
At this point. Well, I mean, maybe I haven't seen it.
But how do you know? It doesn't say Hecho in Mexico, right?
Well, there's a certain, like when I was down in Mexico for Acapulco, I found Mexican, mids. And you can
tell the taste?
You can smell it. It's got a certain look. It's got a certain, flavor. It's got a certain
I'll
feel
have to take
to it.
your word for it.
Yeah, there's more coming up here in moments. It's Free Talk Live.
From the sixth letter of Captain Mark. A pirate's life is characterized by voluntary interactions. Unfortunately, the Crown presses everyone into involuntary servitude. Landlubbers believe slavery was abolished years ago, but the Crown still claims to own us when it crimps us into service against our will. Given sufficient ambition, it would gladly draft thousands of hapless victims to kill or be killed. It's simply slavery by another name. Landlubbers are routinely commanded to serve the so-called justice system in jury duty. But before you swell with civic pride, consider that how you feel is irrelevant to the Crown. You will appear as ordered or face punitive measures. The Crown insists that you participate in your own oppression. A jury summons provides pirates with a unique opportunity to obstruct injustices. A juror can vote not guilty, even if it's proven the law was violated. A juror can acquit for any reason at all, and not even a judge can reverse that verdict. Receiving a jury summons is basically winning the sedition lottery. But if you reveal that you know this during jury selection, you'll probably be dismissed. If the Crown foolishly crimps a pirate into jury duty, it behooves the pirate to conceal their intention to nullify unjust laws. If a master takes 100% of your labor, it's called slavery. But if they only take 50%, they call it taxation, a difference of degree, not of kind. Whether the Crown claims a fortune or a cent is irrelevant. Most of all, a slave owner desires contented slaves, meaning thoughtless ones that accept their bondage. These house slaves see no contradiction in being drafted in a war to end slavery or summoned to a jury to prosecute tax evasion. An ideal slave knows no higher call than the master's will. The Crown's highest ambition is that its slaves revere the authority that subjugates them. But the Crown does not own me. I will not surrender my time and treasure to the Crown's ambitions. Join the conversation at pirateswithoutborders.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You dial toll free and join us on the radio if you want to do that, or sit back and enjoy. It's up to you. We're here live on this Memorial Day edition of the show with you tonight. It's Ian,
Melanie,
and Mark.
Also want you to know about Liberty.menu. That is a place you can go if you're somebody who actually is a liberty-minded person and you've got a business or an event or you're a digital content creator. There's different categories. It's essentially a kind of like a global map-based events and business listing. And this is something that people have been asking for a long time.
They've been asking us specifically for it.
They've
for a
called
long time.
on the air to ask us about
How
this.
do I do business with libertarians? Well, I have an answer for you now. Liberty.menu.
Or how do I find other libertarians to do business with? Right. And that's how you do it. You go to Liberty.menu, you list your thing, whatever it is you do, or things, because you can put more than one post up there, more than one entry. You list that. As long as you're an individual who rejects the initiation of force and agrees to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle, you qualify, and there's no cost except the time it takes to do it. There's no actual cost.
There are upgrades, though, right?
Yeah, you can pay to boost your business up a bit. But to actually post your listings there and be on the same level as everybody else, totally free.
Yep.
So
and let's not forget this is directly affiliated with Free Talk Live.
Yeah, we've got a partnership with Liberty.menu, which I'm excited about. So Liberty.menu, in fact, I'm looking forward to seeing Patrick, who is the creator of the site. He'll be at Forkfest coming up here in less than 3 weeks from tonight, as a matter of fact. So very exciting. He's actually going to be leading at Forkfest a discussion or seminar, or whatever you want to call it, about mesh networking, which is a very interesting topic of which I don't know enough about, so I'm planning on attending that. So he's like a big tech guy. He programmed the site. It's a great-looking site. It's easy to use. Liberty.menu, again, whether you're a business person, an events coordinator, a digital content creator, there's entries for you there. Go get your stuff up there right now. Why wait? Liberty.menu. Who knows what kind of sales you're missing out on? Libertarians could be looking for what you do.
Your customer could have just logged on.
There you go. Liberty.menu. Get on over there. And if you want, you can use code FTL and get yourself a special Free Talk Live listener badge for your profile there, because there's commenting and ratings and reviews, and there's a bit of a social networking aspect there too at Liberty.menu. As we go to David, he's in New Mexico on Skype. Hello, David.
Hey, I wanted to briefly talk about some of the animal psychology stuff you're talking about. Yeah. But before I forget, Mark said last night if I want to get your newsletter, go to newsletter.freetalklive.com. That didn't work for me, so just to note that, so I don't know how to get there.
I don't know what newsletter.freetalklive.com is. I don't know what he was thinking.
I wanted people to sign up for the newsletter, and I said it quite possibly could be that you could go there to newsletter.freetalklive.com. And thank goodness we have listeners like David, to check this out.
Who report when you don't know what you're talking about? Yeah, thank you for that, David. It's actually a lot easier. You just go to freetalklive.com, and there's a sign-up box right there at the top of the page. So
I did say that, too. It was there somewhere.
Yeah, so there you go. Anything else on your mind tonight, David?
Yeah, the animal stuff. I could give you example after example of animals doing things that you would equate almost to human behavior. For instance, there's a bird that lives around my house, a particular type of bird that it likes to eat big juicy moths, and so it will fly up and catch them. And then, not having utensils or very good hands, what it does is it flies to a specific piece of weathered wood that has some sharp points on it that it has discovered works well as a tool, and it pins the big juicy moth onto one of the spikes with its beak, so that it's anchored, and then it can pull pieces off of it if you get that picture.
At its leisure,
yeah. And
nature is so kind.
Exactly. And I have everybody knows what rats are, but desert rats have a particular reputation as being quite mischievous and smart and so on. And they're also not quite as disgusting as regular rats because they have fur that's basically the same fur as a cottontail rabbit, not quite as long, but they're kind of, at least they're kind of cute. And they find this is an old. I told Mark yesterday I have an old trailer that I bought. It was an economic way to put a house on a piece of property in quick fashion. But there's lots of little entrance points that rodents can find and old stuff like that. Yeah, and so this rat has found these rats have found several different ways. And whenever I can, I trap them with a live trap and then take them for a little drive and dump them off at their new home. And I did that with one rat in particular, and it took him about a week. And
he came back.
And he came back. Yeah,
I had a white
knew
skunk that did the same thing to me. So I didn't want to go drown the skunk. I didn't want to do that or whatever. But it was a white skunk, so you know which one it is. Chances are pretty low that you've got two albino skunks running around in your area. And he was back within less than a week.
Yeah.
And how far did you take him out?
Miles.
Wow.
Well, this one I didn't take all that far, and I figured there was a fairly good chance he'd find his way back, and it took him about a week. And the reason I know it was the same one is because there was a very idiosyncratic piece of behavior that this rat had, which there's a spot where he was able to get him actually into the wall between a kitchen and a bathroom, and he would go to this one particular spot there was nothing there for him other than to taunt me. What he did is he'd go to this one particular spot, and he would make a couple quick chewing sounds and then quit, just to taunt me, to say, "Hey, I'm back," because, like I said, there was nothing there for him. There was no further traveling, entrance. There was no food. There was no nothing. He would just come there, taunt me, and then literally just take off and go somewhere else. And I swear it was to say, "Hey, I'm back."
I'm back. Hey, David, thanks for the call and the stories.
Glad to hear about your little rodent friends.
855-450-FREE. You can always take them to the State House and drop them off there. Let's go to Gene. He is the Christian anarchist, and he's on the line with us here from Tennessee. Hello, Gene.
Hi, guys. I wanted to talk about anarchy because I heard you talking about all these Border Patrol laws.
Yeah, sure.
And got me to thinking about people that insist on having a government, and the opposite, of course, is having no government. And I prefer the term anarchy. You prefer voluntarist, but it's all basically the same thing. And people get scared when they hear about trying to continue with no government, and they always, my roads, and so on and so forth. But they've always got something that makes them very afraid.
Well, we've been told that our whole lives, too, that you've got to have government. And, personally, I would say that you're going to have government one way or the other. I just prefer voluntary government over involuntary government. But anyway, please proceed.
Of course, voluntary government isn't really government, because government, in my opinion, has to be coerced. But a voluntary
It's about
association
definitions, there's no doubt.
Yeah, so I agree with you there. To me, a government is the same as a state. It's an organization whose sole purpose is to initiate force, and if it's not doing that, it's some other organization. I'm not against organizations. Band together and form whatever organizations you want to, as long as you're not initiating force.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you guys. This is something that Mark's been doing in recent years on the air, is trying to save the word government, because I think he thinks it's going to help communicate to people who love government.
I think that government is something you enter into every time you sign a contract. It's a governing document.
Let's continue here in a moment. Stand by, Gene. I know you were driving at something. We'll continue with Gene, the Christian anarchist. We'll also take your calls and thoughts. You can bring up whatever you want. The number here, 855-450, free like freedom, 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Want revenge on the common housefly? Well, after 10,000 years, someone has finally come up with a better way. The Bug Assault, a miniaturized shotgun, which utilizes ordinary table salt as ammunition. Non-toxic and no batteries required. So much fun, you'll forget you have a wife and kids. $39.95 and free economy shipping. Use discount code GCN and get an extra 10% off your purchase at bugassault.com. Fire your fly swatter. Get your Bug Assault today.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people like passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Are you about to meet the media? If you're about to be interviewed, do their homework for them. Know this about the person who will interview you. He or she is busy, so expect minimal, if any, preparation. He or she doesn't know as much about your topic as you do. He or she isn't as concerned as you are about getting your message out, so you need to take responsibility. Provide a biography and fact sheet, photographs, or other materials that tell your story. Reporters won't be put off if you supply frequently asked questions. Remember, Public Speaking 101, at the end of the speech, what's the one thing you want them to remember? You can download the document I supply to reporters who interview me and squirm through a video that demonstrates how not to conduct your media interview at www.survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial on in here. Join us on the radio. Our number is 855-450 free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. The Skype username here is LRN.FM. Plus, there's the Discord on-air call-in line room where we're at right now with Gene, the Christian anarchist. The we in the studio includes me, Ian,
Melanie,
and Mark.
And also, I want you to know that Forkfest is right around the corner. We're 3 weeks away. Actually, 3 weeks, Forkfest is going to be over. At this time. So less than 3 weeks to the beginning of Forkfest, which
There'll probably still be something to do with that campground, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In fact, afterwards, the Porcupine Freedom Festival begins, but that's more of a centralized thing where you're going to need a ticket. With Forkfest, there are no tickets because there are no organizers, and there's no official schedule, and there's no official anything because, well, basically no one's in charge of Forkfest. In fact, you can call it whatever you want. We're calling it Forkfest. Other people might call it something different, but it's going to be...
Last year it was known as Somalia Fest and Shire Fest, and...
There were a few other names
Yeah, a few
as well.
other names.
So people kind of do what they want, and that's sort of the idea here. Let the market decide. I don't know if you want to call it an unconference or whatever, but it's a camping event. It's a liberty camping event where nobody really is in charge, so that means everybody's in charge, meaning that you're in charge.
You can yell it's an uncamping event while the rain falls down on you and floods out your tent.
You can do that. It doesn't always rain too badly at these events, but sometimes it can. But if you're going to be camping, you should expect it to rain. That's why we have tents for that sort of thing. So you can do camping, but there's also a motel on site. So if you prefer a little motel stay, you can do that. Or if you got an RV or you want to rent one, there's RV spaces available. That's really the only thing you have to do to participate in Forkfest, is to
secure your camping or motel room with Rogers Campground. Those are the only rules you have to follow, is Rogers rules, because there's no other rules on top of that by the event, because there is no official event. But what's going on? Well, different things. Each individual gets to decide what to create, if you want to create anything. So some people are going to be doing some cooking. Some people are going to be doing, I mentioned, there's going to be
speechifying
speeches, there's the discussion about the mesh networking that's going to be happening. Jay Noon, who's sometime co-host of Free Talk Live, is going to get married on that Sunday. Daryl, who is one of our co-hosts, is also going to be doing a series of athletic events on one day and then throwing a party that evening. So, and we're going to be there broadcasting from the event. Looking forward to seeing, hopefully, you there at ForkFest 2018. It's just the second year for this event. We don't know how big it's going to be because, again, there are no tickets that will be sold, so we can't count anything. Although we might be able to talk to the folks from Rogers Campground and ask them if the number of registrations is up from last year. That would be the only way to get any kind of.
I'm sure that conversation will be had before the weekend is out.
Beyond just walking around the campground and eyeballing it. And I do expect we'll see more people this year than we did last year. I think we had maybe a couple dozen last year, and it seems like there's going to be at least
a lot of activity on the boards.
Yeah, there's going to be at least a few dozen folks. In fact, some people are saying they're specifically going up so they can attend ForkFest, and they're not that interested in the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which is the subsequent event. So go to forkfest.party if you want to learn more about it. It's June 14th through the 18th. That is coming up fast. It'll be here before you know it. So start planning now to attend. That's June 14th through the 18th. We'll look forward to seeing you there. Again, the website, forkfest.party. As we go back to Gene the Christian Anarchist on the line from Tennessee. You were talking about, usually, anarchy. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, and people, again, I was getting into the point about people being afraid of anarchy, and they say, well, oh gosh, with anarchy, you're going to have criminal gangs, and you're going to have people shooting people, and all these things. And I point out to people, yes, you are going to have those things. You have them today. You look outside and go to some of these neighborhoods, and you still have that today. Even with your goonerment, you still have criminal gangs and you have murders. So that's
the same thing. A criminal gang is the government. I mean, the government's just the largest criminal gang. They're the one that gets away with murder openly.
Doesn't that suggest, though, that in the absence of the government, then one of these organizations that is not is not currently the government would then fill in that vacuum? Generally, the vacuum's filled in by the next most powerful organization.
I think there will be some of that, of course. There's going to be warlords. There's going to be guys who want to start a drug. Of course, drugs would be legal, so you couldn't really have a underground drug trade because drugs would be completely legal. But the point I'm getting at is, yes, there's always going to be men who want to push other men around, and women for that matter. But the point is,
probably more so.
No, I don't think so, because if you don't have government, then you will be able to take protection. You'll be able to have protection with you in the form of whatever kind of weapon you want. And if some guy comes and starts to push people around, it's only a matter of time till he gets what's coming to him. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and it'll happen a lot sooner in an anarchist society, because in an anarchist society, if you're trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to defend myself against these gangs, you don't have to worry about, did I pay a retainer to my defense attorney, and what are the stand your ground rules in this jurisdiction? You just take care of it, and bullets cost 50 cents, and defense attorneys cost tens of thousands of dollars. So,
and this is true, but this is why the Wild West wasn't so wild. And if you read the book More Guns, More Crime, you see why.
More guns, less crime.
More guns, less crime.
Lot, right. LOTT.
Right, because people are more polite when they know that anybody's armed. The women in the Wild West used to carry a Derringer down in their bra, and guys were more polite to the ladies, even in the bars, because they knew if they got too wild or too crazy or tried to hurt her, she was going to pull that Derringer out and blow them away. So
yeah, I found when I was living in the South that I opened carried a lot more in the South, whereas up here I tend to conceal-ish. When I opened carried, I had to deal with a lot less of that type of thing. It just didn't happen.
Right. Nobody's going to mess with somebody who's strapped. And there was a guy at Walmart today that was strapped. He had looked like a 9mm strapped to his hip.
Nice.
And Walmart didn't care. They didn't kick him out or anything.
They probably sold it to him.
I don't know if they sell pistols.
Walmart doesn't sell
They used
pistols.
to.
Oh, they don't? Oh, that's too
No.
bad. They
But,
chickened out, didn't they?
That's why I say that anarchy is just as safe as what you have now, if not safer. It's not going to be 100% safe. But anyway,
I think it's a great point that the Wild West, as we are told, was
not so well. That's more Hollywood than anything else.
Right. I mean, the gunfights are interesting. There's no doubt about it. But I think the statistics are, and I can't remember exactly, but basically Baltimore, New Orleans, New York City, these places are tens of times more dangerous than the top 10 sort of Western towns that were out there. They did
Dodge City.
Yeah. Dodge City and the Tombstone and all these other places.
Ultimately, even those bad guys want to go home at the end of the day. They don't want to push their luck to the point where they're going to get themselves killed.
Yeah, and any society you have, whether it be anarchist, Republican, bureaucracy, communism, anything, is only going to be no better than the population. So if your population is a bunch of evil people, you're not going to have a good society, no matter what structure of system you try to set up.
Gene, thanks for the call tonight. Appreciate the discussion. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. The thing is, while I don't disagree with any of his points, I just don't feel like anarchy is really one of those words worth saving. I mean, it just creates too many preconceived notions in somebody's mind. Like, every time anarchy's ever talked about in the media, it's always some sort of image of somebody throwing a bomb or smashing a chair through a window or a brick or, rolling a dumpster into somebody's building, through a front door or whatever. I mean, it's always some kind of violent, destructive act that's being portrayed at the same time that the word anarchy is being used.
And it kind of depends on which strategy you're going to use, and we should use as many different strategies as we have people. If you're willing to have that conversation when somebody's like, so, are you going to blow the building up? And I'm like, no, and governments have blown up more buildings than any private system ever has. If you're willing to go through it that route, then maybe it is a word you want to use if you want to tell the feds that are currently rating you that they're being bad people and they should stop, then maybe you want to use voluntarism.
There's more on the way here. 855-450-FREE like freedom. Join us on Free Talk Live.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-261-9818 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-261-9818. Again, 800-261-9818.
Free Talk Live.
3-year-old child lost his arm after being viciously attacked by a pit bull terrier earlier this month.
Gosh.
Now the incident has moved a state lawmaker to author legislation that will effectively ban the pit bull breed in the entire state of Oklahoma.
Wow. Wouldn't all of Mr. Wesselhoff's constituents be a little safer if we all just couldn't have any dogs at all?
That's true. It would guarantee that no one would be bitten by dogs.
Right, and no
What
cats.
about cats? They scratch people.
They do scratch people, and it leaves a nasty infection.
It could, certainly.
Certainly.
We should ban infections, too, while we're at it. I mean, while we're protecting everyone from everything.
Birds can carry the flu. We know that.
We should just exterminate all animals with teeth.
Well, forget the teeth. The birds have no teeth. I say we kill them all.
Just every animal out there. What about insects? You could just sign a law that bans mosquitoes.
That'd be great.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. Moments remain here. Enough time for you. If you want to jump on the line with us, you can do that. Our number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom, and we are live here on this Memorial Day edition of Free Talk Live. 855-450-3733. The Skype username is lrn.fm. And then there's our Discord on-air call-in line room. What is Discord, you ask? Well, I didn't know until a few months ago. It's a chat service that is free to use. It's cross-platform, which means that if you've got a Windows computer or an iPhone or an Android or Linux or whatever it is you're using, there is a Discord app for your device. If you don't feel like installing an app, that's fine. They've got a web version, too. You can just try it out with the web version. Go to discord.lrn.fm. That'll get you over to our server, where you can interact with other Free Talk Live listeners, folks like Gene the Christian Anarchist, for instance. Some of the voices you hear on the air with us frequently are usually hanging out in our chat room. Sometimes it's during, sometimes before or after the show. Sometimes after the show, a few of them will go and hang out in a voice chat, because Discord is both voice and text. So they got voice rooms and they've got text chat rooms. Most of the time it's text chat, but every now and then they'll hop in and have a voice chat together. So it's just all up to you. There's different rooms on different topics, everything from cryptocurrency to Forkfest, gaming, and more. You can go and jump in and enjoy. It's all free over at discord.lrn.fm as we continue here with another one of our regular chatters. He's Robert in Bellows Falls, Vermont. Robert, you're on Free Talk Live.
Thank you for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
I first want to say that anybody that's never been to Porkfest or the Somalia Fest, you should really go and check it out. I mean, aside from a couple of issues, I had a great time there. I met a lot of great people. My best time there was listening to the speakers and then being a part of the bonfire. That was really cool.
Yeah, you went to Porkfest for the first time last year, and I think you were also at the Somalia Fest Forkfest event, weren't you?
Yeah, absolutely, and I had a great time. I mean, we got rained out a little heavy, but we made it through.
Yep, that's part of the fun of going camping is, you deal with the weather, and it's just part of it. Now, I don't know if there's going to be a big old bonfire during Forkfest, because that's one of the things that sort of happens during the Porcupine Freedom Festival, because they basically rent out the entire campsite. So unless somebody rents the bonfire area, I don't know if that means that that'll be usable or not, or what
the status of that'll be, or if anybody will care if somebody just throws some wood down there and starts a fire. I honestly don't know.
Right.
So we'll see about that.
Okay. All right, well, so this leads me into this article that's in the paper. It's the first annual cannabis celebration at Willow Crossing Farm on July 1st. That's going to be in Vermont. And
that's the first day that cannabis is legal in Vermont, correct? July 1st?
Exactly. And the event will feature on-site camping, swimming, free shuttle transportation from Burlington.
And a lot of weed.
Yeah. And the thing that, they're going to have live music and vendors and stuff like that. But the thing I'm like is that they're going to have free cannabis growing demonstrations.
Interesting.
Now, with what I've just said, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't want to put anybody on the spot here, but didn't I hear some people from Free Talk Live say that if it went legal in this state that they would go or at least attend somehow?
No, I never said anything about that.
What's the question?
He's asking if you would go and attend the Vermont legalization party thing.
Well,
right. If it went legal.
No.
I don't know whether I said anything like that. I can't imagine.
The only time I go to Vermont,
I'm not a big weed activist by any stretch.
Yeah, the only time I go to Vermont is if I'm driving to somewhere else in New Hampshire. So, I'll be going to Vermont when I'm going to the Fork Fest because I usually will drive up Route 91 because it's a more direct route than taking the New Hampshire route from where.
But anyways, it's there for anybody that wants to go and
I think it's great news, Robert. Now, generally, we don't promote events here on Free Talk Live because we don't want everybody to just call and promote their event. But I'm going to give you a pass on this one because it is the first time that people can...
It's a good place for Liberty.menu to put that up.
Yeah, I would agree. Exactly. Put that on Liberty.menu. And Robert, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate it. But yeah, generally, we don't want people calling in and announcing local events because it's an international show. And the reason we talk about Fork Fest is because we're going there. It's an event that we're part of, and
it's an international show, and the show will be at Fork Fest.
Right. Hey, but in that case, kudos to Vermont. They were the first state government to actually legalize cannabis through the legislative process, and that's worth pointing out. Even though Colorado and Washington State and these other states did it first, and they did it back, what was it, 2014, I think, when Colorado, or was it 2012? Might have been 2012. Either way, 2012, 2014, when Colorado and Washington State did legalize it. They did it through the ballot measure process, which is an easier way to kind of run around the political system than having to actually go through the political system and change a bunch of old people's minds about prohibition, which is what happened in Vermont, where they changed their mind and they, decided to legalize cannabis, although it only is for the possession and or gifting and growing of it. You cannot legally sell the cannabis in Vermont. So it magically has to appear in people's hands. The whole idea that there's some sort of bad thing with selling the very same flower that you can hold, smoke, consume, and do all these other things with is ridiculous. But regardless, it's still a step in the right direction and good for them. Let's go to Sarah. She's in New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, I was told that there's an octagonal-shaped underground city under Los Alamos. It's supposed to be a secret, but
secret's out. On the bus. Sarah knows, so now everybody's going to know.
True.
So who told you that?
Well, you know what? It was I was riding the bus, and I was talking about these underground bomb shelters that go 8 stories deep, and he said that somebody that worked on it actually wrote a book. So I'm trying to figure out, I want to get a hold of that book. Because I'm assuming that it's supposed to be like
So wait a minute.
Go down like 8 stories down.
Hold on. So
and it's the person that
this city, is it a bomb, and is it an empty bomb shelter, or is it a city that is populated by people?
Yeah, because those are two very different things.
Oh, you know what? I was told that there's aliens down there. People have got on the wrong floor. They were in the elevator going down. They got on the wrong floor, and they found aliens. They might be doing cloning.
If they have aliens in Los Alamos in a special underground bunker, you can't get off on that floor.
Or you don't get to come back.
You're not allowed.
If you
the
do.
military, you're not authorized. But sometimes this person was military. He got off on the wrong floor.
Yep.
And he's like,
He just happened to run into some aliens there, and then they just let him walk away.
And then
so
they
he
let
could
him
tell
talk about it publicly because military people, that's how they roll.
Well, the thing is that I don't know what they were helping them out with, and then he obviously made a mistake and went back up. But something, all these so-called secrets, they all wind up telling their families, all these people that work on it, and then like I'm talking it on the worldwide radio show. So all these so-called secrets wind up being blown out into the wind. You know what I mean?
So you heard this on Coast to Coast AM?
No, I heard this from a guy on the bus, and I've talked to other friends.
That
have,
is legit.
Friends that are
I mean, if you
military.
heard it from a homeless man on the bus or a wino, then, I mean, that's obviously – I'm not saying everybody on the bus is homeless or a wino, but –
It looks like there is something underneath Los Alamos.
What are you looking at?
The Guardian.
What's the story?
The story is Atomic City, USA. How once secret Los Alamos became a millionaire's enclave.
No, that's not saying it's under the ground. Though.
Yeah,
I'm on the same
I also
story
want to know
here.
how somebody who's never seen an alien before gets a confirmed ID on what an alien is and knows that that's what they're seeing.
Hey, you know it when you see it, if it's an alien. Well, Sarah,
an underground plume of hexavalent chromium, a containment.
that's not a place.
Yeah.
A plume is not a place.
I'm just trying to figure this out, man.
No, Sarah, I don't. I don't buy
I
it.
heard it from 3 different people.
Well, that must mean so. If
different
all
people.
3 people heard the same Coast to Coast AM show, and then you all happen to talk to one another about that same show where anybody can call in and make any claim, just like this show, except we get fewer nuts calling Free Talk Live than because we're not on late enough. Than are calling that show.
They talked to people that were in the military. They have friends that worked on the underground bomb shelters, and they talked to their families. I've talked to a guy, his father worked on the underground railroad.
It's all hearsay, Sarah, until you see it yourself.
People call this show and claim they're in the military, and what we do not do is get their
Check the
rank
facts.
and position and call their commanding officer to make sure that's who they really
Thanks for the call tonight, Sarah. It's still hearsay. Hearsay means when someone tells you they've seen something. In this case, someone said something somewhere and 3 people told you about it. So that's hearsay once removed in that case? Would that be right?
I mean, it's still hearsay.
It's worse than hearsay.
It's just hearsay.
Yeah, there's more coming up here tomorrow. We'll see you then online in the meantime, freetalklive.com. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Hi, this is Mark Edge of Free Talk Live. Michael W. Dean's book, User's Manual for the Human Experience, changed my life. In a culture that attempts to turn you into a compliant victim, this book gives you implementable steps on everything from how to be aware of your environment, walking down the street, to business, to how to handle a toxic person in your life. If you're a human, you need to read this book at least once. Go to Amazon and get the Kindle version, or paperback, or an audiobook of A User's Manual for the Human Experience.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
Temporarily from Omaha, Nebraska, the gateway to the West, this is Darrell W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for the weekend of May 26th through 28th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.51 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,302 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $37, and the average price of Bitcoin is $7,429. Antiwar.com reports the U.S. Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction, SIGAR, issued a new report on Thursday. The report concluded that the 15-year, $5 billion Afghan stabilization program has been a failure. SIGAR concluded that the U.S. had unrealistic expectations for the timeline of stabilizing Afghanistan and that many of the programs they attempted actually backfired. The report said that the problem was that they focused on the most dangerous districts in Afghanistan first, where the poor security made it virtually impossible to follow through on building projects. When the U.S. withdrew from those areas, the programs ended outright. Other programs, which were meant to increase Afghan government control, backfired even worse. In giving the corrupt Afghan government control over more districts, they exposed those areas to much greater corruption.
For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals. Gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. They don't feed the banks. They're Bitcoin preferred and have removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
UPI reports the former commanding officer of the USS John McCain pled guilty on Friday to dereliction of duty for a crash in 2017 that killed 10 soldiers. Under the plea deal, Navy Commander Alfredo Sanchez was issued a punitive letter of reprimand and was ordered to forfeit $6,000 in wages. Sanchez also agreed to submit a